This is a story that begins in a quiet cul-de-sac where a young family invites somebody new into their lives. And what would eventually happen there would captivate the country for nearly 3 years.
In 2021, Juliana Perez Magalhães came from Brazil to Virginia to work for Christine and Brendan Banfield. She was to be their au pair.
An au pair is typically a person who comes from a different country, who joins a family and helps out. It's like a live-in nanny.
At the time, Christine and Brendan Banfield had a 3-year-old daughter. And like a lot of couples, they had demanding jobs. And they needed somebody to help look after their daughter.
A year and 4 months after Juliana joins the Banfield family, a tragedy hits the family.
On February 24th, 2023, the family life that Juliana Magalhães was sharing with the Banfields was completely shattered. It was turned upside down.
911, where's your emergency?
I need help. There is my friend. She just was stuck in the night now. She's bleeding a lot. I don't know what to do anymore.
Okay, where are you located? What's your address?
Oh my God.
Take a deep breath for me. Just let me know your address.
The Banfield's au pair, Juliana, is the one who calls 911.
There's a woman on the phone, and she's difficult to understand. She's not able to get out the address or really the nature of the emergency.
Is there somebody else there that can give you the address?
Stablebrook Way.
Okay. And what's your name and what's going on?
My name is Brendan Banfield. I'm a federal agent. This is my house. There's somebody here. I shot him. But he stabbed her.
Brendan described in his 911 call that he, in fact, interrupted a man attacking his wife in the primary bedroom of their home.
Brendan tells them that he shot the attacker to protect his wife.
She's bleeding. She's got several marks on her neck. It's my wife. She's not responding. She's heart's still beating. She's
Okay.
still breathing.
You said she's breathing normally. She's just not responding to you.
She's got a very big hole in her neck.
Okay.
Can you just send help, please?
Yeah, they're on the way. And you said you don't know the individual that was shot.
No, I don't know.
Okay, I have officers that are pulling up outside, okay?
Myself and all the other detectives on my squad that were available responded out to the scene.
When police arrive at the Banfield home and go up to the master bedroom, they enter a chaotic scene.
Police go up the stairs, then they're on the staircase. They see Juliana inside the primary bedroom. Juliana comes outside the bedroom, speaks to an officer, and she tells the officer the 4-year-old girl is in the basement.
My host kid is downstairs.
Okay.
I'm in here.
How old's your host kid?
She's 4.5.
4.5. Where is she?
I need to talk to her. She doesn't know anything. What's
Can we get her and we'll go outside?
So the police officer and Juliana together go down into the basement. You can see a little 4-year-old girl.
Hey, I'm Officer Bell. Nice to meet you. Do you want to go outside with us?
We need to go outside, okay?
You see Juliana at the behest of police take the daughter out of the house.
Do you just want to tell me quickly what happened?
I don't really know what happened. Everything happened too fast.
The police officer tells the 4-year-old girl, why don't you go with that officer?
Can you go with Officer Battani really quick? Why don't you come with us? He has some stickers for you.
During this time, Juliana starts making some statements to the officer about what happened.
I was going to take her to the zoo this morning, and then I forgot the lunch we were going to bring.
Juliana basically explains what happened that morning. How Brendan left for work, Christine is home that day. Juliana, is taking the little girl to the zoo for the day. She had forgot their lunches. She came back, she saw a strange car in the driveway. A man got out of it and he walked through the front door of the house.
Do you know who the person is?
I have no idea.
She calls Christine Banfield, who does not answer her phone. Then she calls Brendan Banfield, alerts him to what is happening.
I called Brendan, it's her husband. He was up there. I called him. I see his French car, but I don't know who is that. Can you please come here? I'm scared.
Brendan was at a nearby McDonald's, and then he came back to the home.
He comes home. The three of them go into the back of the house, left the little girl in the basement, and went upstairs.
Juliana explains that she and Brendan saw this man holding a knife at Christine, threatening to kill her.
Brendan was saying, police, drop the knife. I'm sorry, my first thing was just not
No, you're doing really well.
And then he was saying, I'm gonna kill her. And I don't know, he started stabbing her. I think Brendan shot him.
You can see she's shaken up. She's not speaking complete sentences.
It's okay.
You see Juliana hyperventilating, flustered, just seemingly very distraught.
Okay, take a breath. It's okay. Take a minute, okay?
I need some water.
Outside the house, Juliana is talking to police, and Brendan is upstairs with the police in the bedroom where all this happened.
Brendan Banfield is escorted out of the house. He was complaining of an injury or pain to his leg. While he was being transported, Brendan asked about his wife, Christine.
Is there a way to get an update?
We see him put into an ambulance. We see officers talking to him.
Where'd all this blood come from, you know?
I was holding her neck. Can I be with her?
They're gonna work on her when they get there. You wouldn't be able to see her immediately anyway.
I want to be with her.
Okay.
He was eventually transported to a hospital. There's a doctor that comes in at one point when Brendan is at the hospital.
You have one of the doctors here. Your wife has died. Sounds like there was a lot of blood loss.
Yes.
So I think that she died of blood loss.
I was trying to apply pressure.
Yeah. I mean, those were enormous wounds, and you know, it's not.
There were so many.
Yes, and the neck is not compressible, so it's not possible really to stop all the blood loss. Everything that was possible to be done was done for her right away. You did a wonderful, you know, you did everything that was possible. It's not a survivable injury. You want to wash your hands? Probably feel better after that. So pretty.
As Brendan is struggling with the idea that he has lost his wife, a patient advocate joins him, and you can hear him praying.
Hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done.
While Brendan's at the hospital, the house is being processed as a crime scene.
Police Chief Kevin Davis of Fairfax County came out and spoke to reporters.
We have 2 adults who have been killed. One was shot and killed, and the other was stabbed and killed.
The wife of the household was killed. A man unrelated to the household was shot. It's unclear their relationship.
And we're just trying to work out the details, the sequence of these violent acts.
Police need to figure out who is this man who Brendan Banfield says he came upon in the master bedroom of his house attacking his wife.
We don't know a lot of things just yet, and we're working really hard to find them out. Certainly a double murder in a quiet community like this one is unusual, and it's upsetting to everyone. I get it, and we're going to work really hard to get the facts.
When we first heard this story, it seemed pretty clear-cut. There was an intruder who came in when Christine was still sleeping, who got caught in the middle of the act.
The interest in this was big and bold right away, and we knew that this was going to be a big one immediately. Brendan Banfield was a federal law enforcement officer. He worked for the IRS. Federal law enforcement carried a gun both on and off duty. His wife, Christine, is an ICU nurse.
So this happened in Fairfax County. It's just outside of Washington, D.C.
The area where the Banfields lived was an upper middle class suburban neighborhood, roughly $1 million homes, a lot of families around.
I know that community to be very quiet, very safe, tree-lined streets, cul-de-sacs, a lot of kids. We enjoy a very low violent crime rate. So murders don't happen very often in Fairfax County.
In the hours after this tragic incident, law enforcement does reveal the name of that mystery man found inside the home, Joseph Ryan.
The male decedent who was found dead inside the home, shot to death, Joseph Nathan Ryan. He's 39 years old. At the beginning of the investigation, we didn't know much at all about Joe Ryan.
We know that he lives locally. He doesn't have any apparent connections to the Banfields.
We have to sort out the exact nature of Mr. Ryan's presence inside the home.
I sat down with 3 of the nurses who had worked with Christine over the years. They were bonded in this pediatric ICU unit. I mean, they couldn't believe this had happened to their friend.
I heard from a coworker. She was like, hey, I just heard that Christine's dead. And I was like, what are you talking about?
And you hear that she's stabbed in her own home. What do you make of this?
I was just like in absolute disbelief at that time. She's such a genuine, caring person, so for something that brutal to happen to her, it just didn't make sense.
Christine and Brendan Banfield had been together for almost 2 decades, starting in college. They had moved from Long Island, New York in 2019 to Virginia.
And she had left her job. She was working as a sexual assault nurse examiner, so she left that position and she came down and she was excited to work in the PICU.
And being in pediatric ICU, I mean, that's got to be very hard.
You have to be strong, emotionally strong, and you have to really love what you do.
She definitely was extremely resilient, very smart, very kind.
In fact, I heard her described as a mother hen.
100%. When I first met her, she's like, hi, I'm Christine. People know me as the mother hen. And I was like, what? She was like, I just take everybody in underneath my wings and make sure everybody feels welcomed and loved and cared for.
When COVID first happened, without knowing the risks of what was going on, she took it upon herself to volunteer.
She offered to go over to the adult side and work with some of their COVID positive patients.
There was a patient she had during COVID who was in a coma for a very long time.
I was 5 weeks in coma. When I was in coma, one day I just wake up. When I opened my eyes, I saw a nurse that was taking care of me. And she's like, how can I help you? She was advocating for me and doing everything. She was shaving me, she was cleaning me. I think as a nurse, she was an angel. It was the best person that God gave me in this moment just to come back to life. After I got out of the hospital, I asked her, like, hey, can we have a call? It was amazing. Just to see her, I invite her to my house with her husband and her daughter. She went to my birthday with her family. She was the kindest person that I met in the U.S.
As a friend and as a nurse, she was one of the most compassionate people I've ever known. She always thought about someone else before she thought about herself. I am Christine's best friend from childhood. We've been friends for over 40 years. As kids, we lived 2 houses down, so we were always together. Every birthday we spent together. Our first Holy Communions, our confirmations, proms, Sweet 16s, I mean, you name it. At every stage of life, she was there for. Christine could be a spitfire. She was fun, she was funny, and she liked to have a good time. Then as we got a little older, we got obsessed with the Backstreet Boys, and we would stay up all night learning the Everybody dance and things like that. I remember when she came back from college, she was one of my first friends to get married, and going through all of that and their first house together.
Christine and Brendan, by all appearances, have a lot in common. They like hiking and traveling and looking after their 2 dogs, Huskies.
Her baby shower was exactly 8 years ago, and the laughing and being so excited for her to become a mom. It was a beautiful day.
Did you get a sense of what kind of a mom she was?
The best mom ever. Like, she just loved her so much.
She always would show us pictures that her daughter had drawn or what outfit she had picked out for the day and had taken pictures and would share it with everybody there.
How much did you know about Brendan?
She just talked very highly of him all the time. I mean, she was very proud that he worked for the government and the life that they had built and created.
She was definitely more of an extrovert, and I think he was more of an introvert.
Brendan came off shy and into like gaming and things like that.
I had an opportunity to meet one of Brendan's friends, Brian Jarrett. They met on a gaming site. They were both avid gamers. Later, they actually met each other in person and their friendship continued. They participated in these Tough Mudder races together. He thought a lot of Brendan.
He's one of those people, it seemed like, oh, he always like had it all figured out. It seemed like had like, you know, a life that a lot of people would be envious of. He always presented himself as somebody of very high integrity. He was always really good at analyzing a situation and finding like maybe the most efficient way to approach it. I was over at their house a good bit. It seemed like he really cared about his family, and that was what was most important to him in his life. Just seemed to have it all.
Was she pleased with where their lives were going?
I would say so. I mean, she would describe her life as perfect, and she used that word perfect.
She posted one time, "All of my heart fit into one picture." Did that seem to describe the way she felt about her home life?
Yeah, everything was perfect.
They couldn't believe that the person they knew would wind up dead like this.
Their au pair saw this man walk through the front door of the house carrying a bag. It seemed pretty intentional. How did that happen?
This question started to come up of, did Christine know this person?
It comes out that Joe Ryan wasn't necessarily a stranger, that he had communications with a Christine Banfield. On this website,
it's like, what's going on here? Is she leading a secret life?
This is the morning of the homicides. And Juliana, the au pair, is right there comforting Christine's daughter right after this horrible thing has happened in the house.
I don't know what to tell her.
You don't have to tell her anything, okay? You just give her a big hug, tell her she's okay? All right, give her a big hug, okay? Tonight? Wow.
Many people hire babysitters. Christine had an au pair. How did she decide to go that route as opposed to the classic babysitter or nanny?
She saw having an au pair as an opportunity to invite somebody to our country, to give them the opportunity they wouldn't have if they were not here.
So she saw it as sort of giving
100%.
to someone else.
100%. Christine saw her au pairs as family.
The Banfields had an au pair prior to Juliana, and they seemed to really have loved that au pair.
She'd even posted on social media about the first au pair she had. She posted, "My daughter and her best friend, her sister, her third parent, her everything."
We had an au pair of our own for a year when my first son was 6 months old. And
was that based on their advice?
Based on their recommendation. She went ahead and sent me a lot of the questions and things that she was looking for with her au pair, and that's kind of used that as like a guideline.
Then later she gets another au pair, Juliana.
Her initial au pair had gotten married, and she had talked openly about another person coming in from Brazil and was excited to have a new person.
Before leaving Brazil, Juliana had studied nursing. She was a classic 20-year-old. She loved experimenting with makeup, seemed to be checking out dating apps, and she was proud of her heritage. You can see in her bedroom there at the Banfield house, the Brazilian flag hanging up on her wall.
Law enforcement is still investigating the scene, seeing what evidence is going to piece together to get a full understanding of what happened.
Initially, Brendan and his daughter and his family, they were all placed in a hotel nearby while police were investigating the crime scene in the house. And I went ahead and visited him over there.
How was Brendan reacting at that point? He's killed somebody, his wife is dead.
He seemed pretty sad and broken up about it. He was talking about, like how we wouldn't be able to do any of the future things that he and Christine had planned. I know even one time I brought up how his daughter was gonna have a birthday party, and he's like, yeah, normally Christine would take care of that. I don't know what to do.
Your heart must have broken for him.
Yeah, it sounded terrible.
What about Juliana? How was she?
She was saying oh, the police talked to me for 8 hours the previous day.
When I saw Brendan for the first time at the funeral, I would describe him as a zombie. The only thing that he ever said to me at the wake was, how can somebody take her from us?
Almost from the beginning, it seemed that police had questions that were not typical of their usual homicide cases.
There was no forced entry whatsoever. This is not a home invasion.
There was no broken windows. There was no busted in doors.
If this was a stranger, why wasn't there forced entry?
When they examine the devices of Christine and Joseph Ryan, they see there's a lot of communication between them.
It appears that Joe Ryan wasn't exactly an intruder. It looks like he and Christine might have been in contact before.
Joe Ryan had communications with a Christine Banfield on this website, a social media platform for people interested in sexual fetishes.
FetLife is an adult fetish website where people can go on it, set up an account, find people who are willing to carry out some kind of fantasy.
It seemed that he had coordinated a meeting with a Christine Banfield that day for rough sex.
Joseph Ryan, it's his understanding that he and Christine Banfield are going to fulfill some kind of rape fantasy that involves knives and restraints.
We discovered a Telegram message thread that was a continuation of the initial conversations that occurred through the FetLife site.
On Telegram, Christine's name was Anastasia. Anastasia says, "I'm excited but nervous." On February 22nd, this is 2 days before the attack, Anastasia says, "I can't wait for Friday." She says, "I probably will be a bit panicked. I think that is part of the fun of it."
Joseph sends a picture of all the equipment he intends to bring to their first encounter. The knife, the chain, the ropes.
On the day of, Joe says 7:30 ETA, traffic, exclamation point, to which Anastasia responds, "Okay, I'll be waiting for you." When you look at all these Telegram communications, it makes you wonder if this was a sexual encounter that the two of them had arranged and it just went awry.
Could she have had a side that you just didn't know about?
That story reeked from day one. I was like, this doesn't add up. This isn't right. This is not Christine.
Guys, are we ready? Okay.
My name is Deirdre Fisher. I am Joseph Nathan Ryan's mother. I would describe my son as somebody who was intelligent, caring, creative, somebody who embraced life, very high-spirited and playful. He did jiu-jitsu and mixed martial arts. And he also was an animal lover. He collected old, ugly dogs, rescue dogs, and he loved them.
Who's a spaz? Are you?
He was talkative and friendly. He was caring, and he was somebody who loved his family. And those are just some things about Joe that I want people to know. I first heard that something happened to my son a day and a half after he was murdered. I got a call on the phone. The lead detective told me Joe had been killed. And I do remember screaming, "No, no, no." I remember it. And I just continued to scream for a while.
I am the best friend of Joseph Ryan's mother, and I knew Joe most of his life, knew him well. He was like a nephew to me. We knew Joe wasn't capable of the heinous things Brendan had told them and that what Juliana had told them. Joe was one of the least violent people I've ever known.
And this is a picture of me and Joe together. This is a picture I took of Joe right after he got this haircut. This was his favorite haircut of all time, and he's showing it off. I would describe Joe's personality as somewhere in between an extrovert and an introvert. He had moments of really sort of an entertaining personality. The rest of the time, Joe was sometimes quiet and like he did things like the Appalachian Trail by himself, weeks in the woods, climbing mountains.
He was a very unconventional person, and I admired that about him. Even as a kid, he knew who he was. He didn't care much about what the rest of the world thought.
Joe was kind of counterculture in some ways. He was not driven financially in any way. So he spent his life doing all kinds of jobs. He would work construction as a lifeguard, as a bouncer at times. He worked as a farmer. He took care of sick people sometimes. I'm a survivor of cancer twice, and Joe flew in to take care of me. And he offered to shave his head because I was bald at the time. And I said no.
I was taking a picture of them together, smiling. And after that first picture, Deirdre was like, oh, I want to put my wig on. You know, I'm a little self-conscious. And so Joe's like, well, I'm going to put your other wig on. And in camaraderie, took a picture with her other cancer wig, and they're smiling. That encapsulates who he was pretty well. Joe was very close to his mom. They shared their hopes and dreams and anything about their lives.
Joe could talk about any subject with me, so he began to tell me about his interest in BDSM. Joe described to me all the encounters that he had sexually as completely consensual. That was his thing. That was very important to him. He didn't want to push somebody to do something they didn't want to do. I knew Joe was very gentle as a person and concerned about the welfare of his romantic and sexual partners.
And Joe Ryan seemed to want to make sure anybody he was going to connect with was into it as well. He even messaged in a telegram message to Anastasia, I'm not interested in violating boundaries. And he goes on to say, I don't want to do this if you're having a panic attack or injured or something, right?
So the night before he died, he sent me a text and a picture, and he told me how proud of himself. He had lost weight, he was in shape, and he was really happy. He was in a good place. So that's the last picture of Joe before his death, the night before, to his mommy. You know, Joe's no kind of killer. He sent a picture to Mom and said how happy he was. And I'm glad he was happy the night before he died. On that day, I believe my son thought he was walking into a role play sex scene that was mutually beneficial to both parties. He thought he was going into a good time.
As the months go by and the investigation is continuing, there still are a lot of questions about Joseph Ryan, but there are questions about Christine Banfield too. What police need to do is figure out if this profile, Anastasia, on this website is consistent with Christine's character and what other people know about her.
I immediately knew this isn't the truth. There's got to be more to this story.
I was like, this doesn't add up. This isn't right. This is not Christine.
Could she have had a side that you just didn't know about?
I mean, it's always possible, but if she were ever going to partake in something like that, she would definitely not do it in her own home, much less at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning as her child had just walked out the door. This was just completely out of character for her. Having an affair is one thing, But having an affair under the guise of a rape fantasy when her being the sexual assault nurse, it was not her. If she could never do anything like that.
So there may be mysteries about Christine Banfield. Who is Christine really? But there are questions about Brendan Banfield too.
As we're investigating, we start to discover things that occurred in the past in the marriage between Brendan Banfield and Christine Banfield.
It's critical for detectives to look into the background of all people who were present in the house to understand exactly what happened, because it's not always what it appears to be.
5 people were in the house, which included Christine Banfield, Brendan Banfield, the family's au pair, Juliana, Joseph Ryan, and the 4-year-old girl.
Brendan hires a lawyer, so his lawyer tells him, don't talk. That's not unusual. So on advice of counsel, he doesn't talk. So we don't really know anything from Brendan except what he said initially, which wasn't much.
As we're investigating, we start to discover things that occurred in the past in the marriage between Brendan Banfield and Christine Banfield.
Detectives doing what they do were able to find a woman who had a relationship with Brendan early in his marriage.
I got a chance to meet up with a woman who had actually had a relationship with Brendan. She had connected with Brendan 10 years before. It was the first time she had sat down on television, and she wanted to tell her story. But she was a little uncomfortable revealing her face. You rolling? Oh, you are? Okay.
Are you okay with these shots?
Yes, this shot is fine.
And you're fine with us using your a pseudonym for you,
Correct,
Jennifer?
yes.
Okay, very good. So you ready to tell your story?
I am.
What kind of an impression did he give you?
I thought he was cute, attractive, and he just seemed nice. He was very flattering, you know, had nice things to say about me, which is always a plus.
Jennifer says she connected with him on a sugar baby website, a website for young women who want to date, but they want financial benefits. Was the expectation that it was dating or sex for hire?
It was more like relationship for hire. I didn't see it as sex work or anything like that. It was more just like, I just want you to take care of me.
How much did he pay you?
It wasn't like a life-changing amount of money. It was something like, if we met up for a weekend, like maybe $600 or something like that. And there were times like he gave me money like just as a gift, like go buy yourself something, or he would just buy me something.
She says he told her that he was married. Now, he gave her the impression that he was not really happy in his marriage, she says.
He kind of painted me a picture of what the marriage was like, which probably was false in retrospect. But, you know, he was like, oh, my wife, like, we don't even sleep in the same room anymore. We haven't even, like, been more than roommates for months and months.
So he gave you the impression that he was in an unhappy marriage and...
Yeah, very much. He would just tell me about negative things and what things he didn't like about her. I realize now it was like a carefully curated viewpoint, like for my benefit.
He was married, so how did he find time to spend long days or maybe even a weekend with you?
Well, his wife, she's a nurse, and she had a job at the time that involved a lot of time away from home.
Did you go to his home ever?
I did, all the time. He was very nonchalant about having me in his home. It didn't bother him at all. And, you know, he would do these very detailed, like, cleanings after I leave because I have different colored hair from his wife. So, you know, there's, like, he called it CSI sweep, which was really stupid. But, you know, it was just, like, I think he almost liked it. It was almost like a game to him. It was kind of, like, there's a thrill, I think, to doing forbidden things, right?
Jennifer says that Brendan told her that he wanted to divorce his wife, but no divorce happens. And she says that he was really sort of obsessed with money and worried about money.
He, I guess, was under the impression that he'd be giving up far more money than he ought to if they went through a divorce, so he just didn't want to give up a penny that he didn't have to.
Their affair is going on and going strong, and Jennifer says one day Christine comes home and finds them there.
I heard the door opening and I like kind of half-heartedly tried to like hide in a corner somewhere while they were talking, but you know, he was like, you can come out now. And in a way, it was like she scolded me, and you know, she was like, you don't understand how hard I work for this family, and you know, that you can just like waltz in here and just like have fun like this while I'm working hard and trying to make money for our family. I was just like, oh, this is very, very weird for me, and I would like to leave, so I left. And then he was like, yeah, I'm gonna need to talk to her. But then I found out later that it was more of just like you know, he was just like reassuring his wife that they were like, the marriage was still okay, that, you know, he was really, really sorry, but it was just like a one-time fling.
She says they were dating for about a year, and then she says he dumps her. Years have gone by. Jennifer has moved on from Brendan, and then she happens to come across this article, and she reads Brendan's name. She couldn't believe it.
The circumstances of what I was reading were very bizarre, and I was like, this is not normal. Like, there's something weird about the situation.
Jennifer tells me this was so unsettling that she reached out to a detective on the case.
I just wanted to reveal a piece of information that he had an affair before.
You wanted investigators to know what his character was all about.
Right, like, yeah.
It was important for Jennifer to come forward because it shows that Brendan is not true to his wife. He also didn't speak so well about Christine.
Christine's friends, the nurses who worked alongside her, said Christine often talked about infidelity, how she was so sickened by it.
We were sharing stories about other people we knew and the lengths that they would go to hide their affairs. And she used the word disgusting. That's the most disgusting thing that somebody could do to their partner.
Did she ever let on whether she worried her husband might be?
No.
It's okay. Were you here when it happened, or
When Juliana was interviewed initially by detectives, she denied having any type of sexual relationship with Brendan Banfield. She described their relationship as he is her employer and she is his au pair.
She denied having an affair with him, but then they find pictures and video that tell a very different story.
For a while, the case didn't have a lot of developments.
There was no arrest. I just was afraid there wouldn't be justice for Joe. It was very difficult. It was very, very difficult.
It's been a few months since Christine was killed in her home, and her husband, Brendan, is still living in the house with their daughter. What was Brendan like during this period, trying to care for his daughter, having lost his wife? What was he like?
He would say to me, you know, like, this is one of the first times in my life where I really feel kind of lost, or I like don't know what to do. I know he even like showed me how his bedroom, which had been completely gutted out, and how he was getting it redone. And I thought, I guess if you're still gonna somehow live in this house, trying to make the best of the situation.
And interestingly, Juliana, the au pair, is still living in this house too.
Law enforcement continues their investigation, and they're also looking at Juliana's social media. There are a lot of photos of what you would imagine a 22-year-old woman posting, but as they look at those photos, they see someone that they believe looks like Brendan, but having strategic emojis or pictures posted over his face.
There was some items of clothing, a watch, and other items that led us to suspect that it may be Brendan Banfield. And we discovered that Juliana had told her friend about the affair she was having.
That becomes the basis of a search warrant to get Juliana's social media. And what the police find is a lot of evidence that she was having an intimate relationship with Brendan.
Prosecutors had said that they found photos of them, you know, out in public.
Among the photos the police found on one of Juliana's devices was photos of a trip that Juliana and Brendan took, and they took Brendan's daughter in October 2022, before the murders.
Juliana and Brendan Banfield took a trip together to New York. They suggested that this was more than just a fling, that this was a relationship.
Brendan and Juliana had been having an affair. The police think at least 6 months before Christine was killed.
And from there, this blows open the case in a whole different way. This leads them to believe maybe there's something more here. Maybe there's a motive that they didn't see at first.
You're watching 7 News.
A family's au pair is now charged with shooting and killing a man in a Reston home.
The Fairfax County Police Department announced today they made a new arrest in that case, and they're charging the family's au pair with second-degree murder.
8 months after the homicides, Juliana is arrested and charged with second-degree murder for the death of Joseph Ryan.
Juliana pleads not guilty.
I'm Jenna Sands, and I am the Chief Deputy Commonwealth's Attorney for Fairfax County. We knew that Juliana was responsible for the death of Joseph Ryan.
It turns out that on the day of the shooting, Juliana tells the police on the scene that she shot Joe Ryan too.
Yeah, and Brendan said, no, police don't drop the knife. And I think Brendan shot him, and he asked me help, shot him too.
She said from the very beginning that Brendan shot Joe Ryan first, and she shot him second.
Juliana told police Joseph Ryan. He's on the ground. He's bleeding. And then they hear a moan from Joseph Ryan. Juliana is then directed by Brendan Banfield to go into the closet and get another gun. And according to police, Juliana fired that fatal blow and killed Joseph Ryan.
We knew that she had shot Joe in that room, and we did not have a reasonable defense that we could imagine for her, given the evidence.
When we arrested Juliana, we followed up with another search warrant at the residence. And when we went into the house, the first thing that I think all the investigators noticed was all the pictures of Christine were gone. Then we went up into the primary bedroom. On the nightstand next to the bed was a photograph of Brendan Banfield and Juliana in a romantic kind of embrace, like a couple. It was a picture of a couple. And when we looked around the rest of the room, inside the closet, throughout the room, we found Juliana's clothing, Juliana's lingerie. Juliana had effectively replaced Christine.
And when you saw those photos?
Disgusted. You're really gonna move into the master bedroom a few months after the woman who hired you to come in and take care of your child dies and is murdered in that same bedroom? No.
It's so insulting. It's insulting to Christine's memory. Not only that, Christine's family, and most of all, Christine's daughter.
There was no trace of her. There was no photographs. There was no memorial. It was as if she had never existed in the first place.
And then police discover something else that sets off alarm bells.
At Juliana's pretrial hearing, it comes out that she went to a shooting range with Brendan twice before Christine is killed, in October and December. And she, in fact, has a photo of herself firing a gun that she posts on social media.
When you combine that with the fact that he never took his wife shooting, it really points in the direction of a plot.
Juliana could serve a lot of time for this.
If convicted, it's a minimum of 5 years in prison with a maximum of 40 years.
Police are still suspicious of Brendan, and now they're zeroing in on another 911 call, one made on the morning of the killings, a full 15 minutes before that other one that she made asking for help.
County 911, where's our emergency?
We could hear in that call what sounded like a man moaning.
It's very revealing. The question is, what happened in those 15 minutes?
Here we go.
It's the new year, 2023, and Christine Banfield is very excited. fact, she even posted on her social media, 2022 was pretty awesome. Let's see if 2023 can top it. Just a few weeks later, she would be dead.
Fairfax County police are still investigating who killed a woman inside that home.
It just seems like she was so looking forward to the next year.
Yeah, it's incredibly tragic now, looking back on it.
A woman working as an au pair for a family in Herndon has been arrested and charged for a fatal shooting.
While Juliana was in jail, Brendan was living a version of a normal life. Not quite the life that he had led before, but somewhat normal. He was no longer IRS law enforcement. He was making money as a delivery driver, living with his daughter and his mother in the house, coaching sports for his daughter.
At the point in time that we arrested Juliana, we still couldn't tie Brendan to it until we had had the opportunity to really work that scene, to go through it with a fine-tooth comb. But when we received all of that evidence, that's when we were able to take the next step.
We've got shocking new details tonight in a double murder in Reston. We've been following this for more than a year now.
570 days after the murders, Brendan Banfield is indicted for aggravated murder.
Brendan Banfield pleads not guilty.
We have evidence to now allege that Christine Banfield's life was unlawfully taken and Joseph Ryan's life was unlawfully taken.
You have anything you want to say?
I was happy. I was celebrating. I couldn't have been more thrilled.
That's when I was like, yes, finally, they got this guy.
What did you make of that? This is the man you thought you knew to be this upstanding guy.
Basically thinking that, wow, we're like me and so many other people wrong about him all this time.
Just a few hours from now, a husband accused of killing his wife and another man is due back in a Fairfax County courtroom for a bond hearing.
The police theory and their evidence to prove it is that Brendan was the mastermind behind an incredibly intricate, detailed plan to kill his wife.
It's digital evidence, it's physical evidence, it's forensics evidence, it's circumstantial evidence, but the work still goes on.
Police and the prosecution believe that Brendan created or used a FetLife account posing as Christine.
He created a fictitious account in his wife's name, portraying her image.
Using this catfish scheme in order to lure an unsuspecting sexual partner to have this kind of violent sex act that would presumably look like he was assaulting her.
Make it look like he was an intruder. Shoot Joseph Ryan, the so-called intruder, and then stab Christine.
Brendan's plan was to replace his wife with Juliana.
More details come out about what exactly happened that morning in the hour or so before the murders. We learned that Brendan Banfield left and went to McDonald's and ordered a breakfast sandwich and stayed there for 20 minutes. And Juliana said she was going to take the little girl to the zoo for an outing, but she didn't. She stayed in a cul-de-sac watching the house. Brendan had unlocked the door using Christine's phone. He had shut her phone off and put it in a drawer off the kitchen.
As Juliana waited, she saw Joseph Ryan arrive. She then called Brendan. He then meets with Juliana and his daughter, and they sneak around the back of the house, where they enter through the basement entrance. Brendan goes upstairs first, followed shortly by Juliana, where they open the door of the primary bedroom, and Brendan shoots Joseph Ryan, then takes a knife that was brought by Joseph Ryan as part of a scripted sexual foreplay, and he begins to stab Christine.
Police are looking at everything, but now they are laser focused on a quick call to 911 made from Juliana's phone a full 15 minutes before that other one that she made asking for help.
Fairfax County 911, where's your emergency? Hello, Fairfax County 911.
It's only 8 seconds long, and you can hear moaning in the background. And now police realize That's probably Joseph Ryan moaning in the background. The call is hung up. Dispatchers try to call back.
Hello, this is Fairfax County 911. We had a call from this number. If you have an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. This call was made in the area. You can disregard this message. Thank you.
Prosecutors say the initial 911 call was made too soon, that Juliana called before everything was properly laid out.
What we think happened between the two 911 calls was that Brendan gives the signal to Juliana to hang up the phone. And at that point in time, Joe is now dead, Christine is dying, and Brendan manipulates the scene. We think that he picks up enough of Christine's blood to be able to leave traces of it on Joseph Ryan.
Prosecutors say that Banfield smeared it on Joseph Ryan to make it look like he was the one stabbing Christine.
Now there are two people sitting in jail awaiting their murder trials.
Yeah, get your breath.
But is one of them gonna flip?
I was going to bury Joe's ashes, and I just couldn't let him go. So we're looking at half of Joe's ashes. It sits on top of a dresser in my living room. And every day I say hi to Joe. And then every night I'd say goodnight to him. And I'll wave at the box.
Tonight, a major new development in a 2023 double murder in Reston.
It's now been more than a year and a half into this investigation. And now a big turn. Juliana is actually offered a plea deal.
According to my sources, the Fairfax County Commonwealth's attorney offered this plea deal to Juliana Perez Maglahays in exchange for her testimony against Brendan Banfield.
There'd been a lot of discussion about how we could get her to turn. There were discussions that sounded a whole lot like dating advice. Leave her alone. She'll come to us, give her time. She'll make the right choice. We heard from her attorney after we had charged Brendan Banfield that she was finally ready to confess.
Yeah, get your breath.
So in order to get this deal, Juliana has to sit down with prosecutors and law enforcement. She's got to come clean with everything, and she has to be truthful.
Have you had, to your satisfaction, full and fair opportunity to consult with your lawyers?
Yes. The idea was for her to tell us in her own words exactly what she remembered so that we would know that it was reliable.
She told us that the trip to New York was the time when Brendan first talked to her openly about his plan to kill Christine.
He basically told me, I want to tell you something, but I don't want you to be afraid or scared or leave me. I said, okay, you can tell me whatever. And then he said, I don't want Christine in our lives. And then I asked him, we're going to divorce her. And then he said, I don't want Sherman because it would be easier if she was not in the picture.
Juliana corroborates this catfish theory.
He told me that he was going to create an account on the website, FetLife.
Where in the house were you predominantly when he is on FetLife?
It was mostly in the basement. We sit there and then was with her laptop. He said he needed to find a person who likes to play like blood, play with knife and stuff like that, play violent.
This whole plan was designed to a T to kind of cover their tracks.
Basically, like after a while talking to Joe, he said, he's the right person. Joe is the right person.
Juliana was the one person who could tell us exactly what Brendan Banfield's role was in it, and we knew him to be largely the hand that was moving the pieces on this particular chessboard.
He just told me, I wish I didn't need you, but I need you to do this with me. I can't do it without you. And I said, what do you mean? Why you can do it without me? And he said, because something goes wrong, I need you to have my back.
Can you Tell me the words that he used in terms of how he intended on killing her.
Like stabbing her.
Did he say where he intended on stabbing her, how he intended on stabbing her?
Yeah, he was going to stab her on the neck, just like he did. He was just expecting Joe to bring a pointy knife instead of, the knife to like chop vegetables, which would be easier.
So what did Joe Ryan say during the time when Brendan Banfield comes in?
He looked at us like surprised, like shocked that there were other people in the bedroom. And then that's when Brendan just shot him.
Hearing Juliana describe Christine's last moments was absolutely gut-wrenching. She is describing the moment a mother lost her life.
He was stabbing her and then she was just telling him, let me go, I'm gonna die anyways. I'm gonna bleed to death. She was just, leave me here, let me die. And then he was telling her, I can't.
This is pretty heartbreaking stuff. Juliana even tells prosecutors that Christine, while she's dying, is talking about her daughter's birthday coming up. She's about to turn 5.
She said something about birthday because it's going to be the next month in March. Based on him, like, it has to be before birthday. Why?
I can only imagine that her last thoughts were of her daughter. Sorry, that's right.
Juliana accepts a plea deal and ultimately agrees to plead guilty to involuntary manslaughter. And on top of that, prosecutors say they will recommend a sentence of time served, meaning no more prison time, and she'd be immediately deported back to Brazil.
Which means as soon as this trial is done, she's free, as long as she testifies against Brendan Banfield in his trial.
I don't know where the justice in that is. How do you get to plan a murder and think that you're gonna live a life, her life essentially, and walk away after a couple of years?
In less than 12 hours, the trial of Brendan Banfield will get underway.
It's been nearly 3 years since the murders. The case is finally headed to trial. And the defense is about to make the argument that nothing is what it appears to be. Even the police can't seem to agree on exactly what happened here.
There was a divide amongst investigators.
Our supervisor at the time told us there were 2 theories in the case and we needed to get behind the right one.
While awaiting trial, Brendan Banfield is indicted on 2 more felony charges.
Prosecutors file another indictment, charging him with felony child cruelty and felony child abuse.
And this is because he had this remarkably intricate plan to kill his wife and did it with his daughter in the house.
Brendan Banfield pleads not guilty to the additional charges, too. The investigation is ongoing, and something unusual is playing out. Detectives are divided on whether this catfishing theory is even legit.
Brendan Miller is a forensic investigator within the police department that is investigating Brendan Banfield.
This is a man who looked at every cell phone, every laptop in the Banfield home.
He wrote a report associated with this case. The key line and conclusion in Miller's report is that there's no indication at any point in time that Christine lost control or contact with her own devices.
So if Christine always had control of her devices, then the whole theory of the case falls apart.
After Brendan Miller releases this report to law enforcement, he's removed from this case and transferred to another section of the detectives unit.
It created this atmosphere that, like, maybe police want to find facts to fit their theory, not go where the facts lead them. It raises the question, could Christine have actually set up this profile? Did she really invite Joseph Ryan to the house?
In less than 12 hours, the trial of Brendan Banfield will get underway. Banfield is the man accused of killing his wife and another man in an effort to run away with the family's au pair.
The judge who's presiding over the case is Penny Ascarate. She's a former Marine. She's a no-nonsense judge. She is familiar to people who saw the Johnny Depp-Amber Heard trial.
Jurors in Depp and Amber Heard's multi-million-dollar defamation trial are taking their time.
In opening statement, the goal is really to introduce the jury to the story that's going to be told.
Brendan Banfield killed his wife, Christine Banfield, and another man named Joseph Ryan. And he convinced young Juliana, 22 years old, that they should get rid of Christine. They would use Christine's email accounts to create a fake profile, to lure someone in to come into the house and fake rape Christine. Brendan would be the hero of the day. He would show up, kill the guy, kill his wife, pretending that it had been that guy. That was the plan.
Banfield's defense attorney, John Carroll, says that Juliana cannot be trusted because she's testifying for her life.
The whole reason she was arrested was to flip her against my client.
He moved on to say that the prosecution's case rests on this idea that there was some sort of catfishing scheme.
But yet, one of the critical detectives, the forensic examiner in the case, the original one, said, no, that's not right.
And so then started the turmoil within the police department. You're going to see manipulation within the police department where if homicide detectives didn't agree with this theory, they were transferred.
Early on in the prosecution's case, the jury hears the 911 calls.
I need help. My friend, she just was stuck in the night now. She's bleeding a lot.
Brendan is sitting at the table, crying.
There's somebody here. I got him.
The best way to tell this story was to put the good evidence out in front. And Juliana was our best evidence. She was our storyteller. We called Juliana to the stand the first day.
She needs to deliver. This is a big moment.
As Juliana walked past Brendan, his eyes tracked her.
Brendan tried to connect with her, lock eyes with her. Juliana didn't give him a second glance.
Do you swear or affirm to testify truthfully in this case under penalty of law?
Yes.
Thank you. Now you can have a seat. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
We had her first describe how her relationship with Brendan had developed.
When you first met Mr. Banfield, what was your relationship to him?
It's professional. He was my boss. Brendan and I barely spoke at all.
At some point, did your relationship with the defendant change?
It became sexual.
Did he ever talk about his relationship with his wife, Christine Banfield?
He used to say that she didn't seem to care about where he was, what he was doing. She didn't seem to care about him at all.
Juliana testified that divorce was not an option for Brendan, primarily because he would lose custody or have to share custody of his daughter with his wife.
Did he tell you what he wanted to do?
He mentioned his plan to get rid of her.
The trial is now at a critical point. Jurors are on the edges of their seats because Juliana is about to tell the jury what she says happened in that bedroom.
She was extremely nervous, but she wanted to tell the truth.
When I first saw that happening, I was just crouching down, covering my ears and covering my eyes.
And now to more stunning revelations from the double murder trial playing out in Fairfax County.
Juliana Perez Magalhaes is still on the stand on direct examination, and she tells the jury that when Brendan first talked to her about killing his wife, she didn't take him seriously.
At first, I thought he was joking. He had heard of a website called Dateline.
Were you present when he created the FetLife account?
Yes, he created a new email account for Christine and Christine's name.
Juliana explains that as a part of this plan, Brendan creates this profile, this Anastasia 9.
How did the two of you use her laptop without her knowing about it?
Every time she used to get home from work, she'd throw her backpack by the door. In the backpack was her laptop.
Joseph Ryan was really just one out of many, many people that they spoke to, and the only one who was willing to follow the rules. Joe Ryan didn't need to meet in advance. Joe Ryan was happy to come to a house that he didn't know. Joe Ryan was willing to come at odd hours, specifically this early morning meetup.
He made Brendan feel confident enough that he would be the person to play the role and come over to the house.
She goes on to say that she and Brendan were so determined to make sure that this meeting was going to happen that she jumps on a call with Joe Ryan, pretending to be Christine.
As soon as I said hi, he was surprised that I had an accent.
Juliana testifies that February 24th arrives, the day that this plan was supposed to be executed. She wakes up early, preparing the 4-year-old daughter for this fake trip to the zoo.
She testifies that Christine had the day off and wanted to sleep in.
According to Juliana, that morning Brendan messaged Joe Ryan with Christine's phone and then shut the phone off and put it in a drawer. And he left and went to McDonald's, where he was going to wait for her call.
What, if anything, did he give you in that morning before the two of you left?
Gun.
Juliana's plan that morning was for her to take the child, to get into her car, and to wait in the cul-de-sac until she saw Joe Ryan arrive.
The zoo was the cover, and as part of that, she was going to bring some lunches that she packed and left in the refrigerator so that she would have a reason to be loitering outside in the cul-de-sac.
That's when I saw Joe pulling in the driveway, and I called Brendan. He told me he would be coming home.
Juliana testified that when Brendan got back to the house from McDonald's, the two of them left the cars, bringing the child with them.
And then the three of them went in the back of the house, left the little girl in the basement, and went upstairs.
He took his gun out. I just did the same. I just followed him to the master bedroom.
Juliana goes on to say that she and Brendan burst into the bedroom and find Joe Ryan there with Christine.
And she yelled back at Brendan, saying, "Brendan, he has a knife." That's when Brendan first shot Joe. Brendan ran to Christine. She told me, "Juliana, call 911."
She testified that in the moment when Christine shouted, "Juliana, call 911, she instinctively did it.
And that's where you have our very brief recording in which you hear Joseph Ryan moaning in the background.
County 911, where's your emergency?
Brendan looks at me and just hung up the call.
Well, the police theory is that the scene wasn't ready yet for the police to show up. Brendan needed time to stage it.
He got on top of her, and that's when I first saw him stab her with a knife.
Juliana testified Brendan picked up the knife that Joe Ryan had brought to the house and that he began stabbing Christine. Juliana turned away. She said that it was hard to watch. She testified that Joe moved and that she told Brendan that he was moving.
That's when I fired the shot too.
So she shot him. She just shot him.
The defense definitely had a strategy when it came to Juliana, trying to give the jury a motive for why this witness is lying.
On cross-examination, the defense attorney asked Juliana why she waited so long to cooperate.
The feeling of shame and guilt, and also because I had a potential of getting less time.
And the defense tried to get Juliana to lay out some of the details of this plan. Many times she just said, "I don't know."
Who took the laptop from wherever it was that Christina thought it was?
That day, I do not remember. I can't tell you for sure. I can tell you the date.
I mean, with all due respect, you don't remember a lot of details.
Yeah.
And that's what's really concerning about this.
And I'm telling you that I do not recall.
Juliana has really damaged Brendan with her testimony, if she's believed. So the big question now is, will Brendan Banfield take the stand?
Anytime a defendant wishes to testify at trial, there's a hold your breath moment. Is this really a good idea? But at the same time, it was exciting.
All right, call Brendan Banfield.
It's been 4 days of testimony, more than a dozen witnesses, and the prosecution is resting its case. Now, time for the defense.
As John Carroll begins his case, the argument is that the prosecution and law enforcement had blinders on.
We had a briefing within the first week. Our supervisor at the time told us there were two theories in the case and we needed to get behind the right one.
The internal politics that John Carroll introduced to the trial were complete distraction efforts. One of the theories we were examining was that Brendan was telling the truth. So we examined a ton of theories, but ultimately we're examining the evidence.
The defense called Detective Brendan Miller as their own witness. He's the forensic examiner who wrote the report concluding that Christine, in his opinion, always had control of her devices.
Did you make any conclusions at that time that she had not given up her devices?
I had nothing indicating loss of dominion and control at that time.
So your conclusions based on zeros and ones are still the same?
Yes.
The defense calls their own expert to basically verify or agree with Miller's original conclusion.
Were you able to draw any opinions related to this case?
Catfishing did not occur. I didn't see anything here that indicated loss of control of device.
The digital forensic evidence was simply inconclusive because Brendan Banfield had been so careful in his planning. You could never point to one person as being the sole operator of the device at the time that the messages were sent.
And you can't say who was in control of either device. All you can tell us is what the devices are doing. Correct?
Correct.
All right, Mr. Banfield, do you understand you have a constitutional right not to testify?
Yes, ma'am.
Anytime a defendant wishes to testify at trial, there's a hold your breath moment.
All right, call Brendan Banfield.
This is a big moment. Brendan Banfield has not spoken to police. He has not shared his story. Now he's about to take the stand, talking for the first time.
Brendan Banfield does this defense that we call, my hands are dirty but not bloody, because he's saying I've done some bad things.
We were having an affair.
Now, was Christine aware of your affair?
I don't believe she was aware of the affair between me and Juliana. She was aware of at least 2 previous affairs.
So Brendan stays on the stand over 2 days, and he told jurors that he's had affairs in the past. He admitted to it, but he said his wife has also had affairs in the past.
There was a point a number of years ago that Christine had indicated that she was interested in bondage type situations.
In terms of your sexual relationship with Christine, what, if any, differences did you have?
I was not interested in ever harming her. I was never interested in sexual violence.
In our detective's examination of Christine Banfield's digital life, there was absolutely no evidence of her having been involved or even interested in rough sex.
Christine never mentioned to me anything about any affairs. I would be the one she would share it with, and there was never any secrets.
Did you ever create any sort of a plan with Juliana?
No, there was no plan. I think that it's an absurd line of questioning.
Regarding the day of, Brendan had an explanation for the jury.
Brendan testifies that when he pulls up to the house and sees this strange car, he doesn't call 911 right away because he says that he thinks maybe his wife is having another indiscretion.
It wasn't on my mind that this was some type of violent or threatening encounter. I was emotional at that point.
Brendan says that he enters the house through the basement door, and then he sees Juliana and his daughter behind him.
I never told her to come down to the house.
Brendan leaves Juliana and Banfield's daughter in the basement.
He goes upstairs and into the bedroom.
Christine was nude and on all fours. And Joe Ryan was behind her. I don't know that I've ever been more panicked in my life. Almost immediately, I said police. I saw him do a downward stabbing stroke, and that's when I fired at him. Christine told me that she was bleeding out, and that she was sorry and that she loved me.
Brendan notices that Juliana is now in the bedroom with him.
I told Juliana to call 911. She went into the master bathroom.
Brendan says that while he's tending to his wife, he feels something on his back.
Joe Ryan struck me in my shoulder.
All of a sudden, a gunshot.
And I looked up and I saw that Juliana had my other firearm. I was stunned that Juliana had shot.
As John Carroll is finishing his direct examination of Brendan Banfield, I'm ready.
Your Honor, I have no further questions.
Cross-examination?
There were a number of things that I wanted to push on.
He's asked, well, you've explained a couple of stab wounds. She had 7 stab wounds.
When did he stab her those other 5 times?
The knife is inside of her hair. I can't tell the movement, and I don't know exactly what happened before I arrived either.
Okay, well, she had to get 5 more wounds at some point.
Prosecutors are hammering away at Brendan, and they press him on his story that Christine was awake and on her devices on the morning that she was killed.
Would it surprise you if the digital forensics would show that she was not on her phone at 6:30 or really any time before or after that?
I saw her with her phone. Okay. It was on the bed.
Got it. Okay, so she was just with the phone, not using the phone.
Yes.
The prosecutor is really questioning Brendan's behavior. He sees Juliana in the basement, with his daughter, doesn't tell her, go back to the car.
Why wouldn't you tell the babysitter to take your daughter back outside?
I believe that she was safe in the basement. I thought they were okay there.
Common sense. I mean, what we know of how people behave just never made sense with what Brendan Banfield had done.
Thank you. Nothing further, Judge.
The jurors now have heard 2 vastly different versions of what happened.
Each of you must decide this case for yourself. I can excuse you now to deliberate. Please be seated and come to order.
The case has gone on for 9 days. Now, it's that final moment. Both sides have their final arguments to make before the jury.
Brendan Banfield killed both Christine Banfield and Joseph Ryan. He was in love with Juliana. He was afraid of losing her. He needed to get rid of his wife so that they could be together. Brendan let Juliana take the fall. It's his turn to be held accountable.
John Carroll argued in closings that Juliana had ulterior motives, that she wanted to go back to Brazil, and saying what prosecutors wanted her to say was her ticket to going home.
Juliana made it up. She told the Commonwealth what they wanted to hear. She told this lie to secure herself a deal.
He argued that officials rushed to judgment in this case and transferred people out who did not support the conclusion that they had.
The one detective who stood up and said the evidence contradicted her story was transferred off a case.
After both sides have their last words to tell their story, then it's all to the jury.
The fate of the man accused in a high-profile double murder case now in the hands of a jury.
After nearly 9 hours of deliberation, the jury reached a verdict, and everyone rushed into the courtroom.
We turn now to the verdict in the case of that husband and father in Virginia, accused of killing his wife so he could have a new life with his au pair.
We, the jury, in the case of the Commonwealth of Virginia versus Brendan Robert Banfield, defendant, find the defendant guilty of aggravated murder of Joseph Ryan and Christine Banfield.
The jury finding him guilty on all counts just a short time ago.
At the end of the day, I am very, very pleased that we are able to stand here successfully having gotten justice for Joe Ryan and Christine Banfield.
Brendan will be sentenced in May, but just days ago, Juliana was back in court, finally learning her fate.
I'm truly sorry for the pain it caused. I hope someday I can be forgiven. Your actions were deliberate, self-serving, and demonstrated a profound disregard for human life. Therefore, I do sentence you to 10 years in the penitentiary. May it weigh heavily on your soul.
I believe she is equally as responsible for my son's death. She's a cold-blooded killer.
Joe Ryan, for his loved ones, they don't want him forgotten.
I want people to know Joe was a good son, that he loved people, and that he didn't deserve this.
Christine's family has mostly been quiet about the loss, but they just sent us a statement talking about her, saying she loved her family deeply and was devoted to her marriage. Christine suffered a violent, horrific, senseless death. The lies told about her after her murder were just as painful as her death. We are committed to ensuring that Christine will always be remembered as the beautiful person she was.
There's so many things that remind me of her. A Backstreet Boys song will come on.
Everybody, rock your body right.
Remembering her laugh. And sometimes I could look at a picture and I hear it because it was a pretty great laugh.
What do you want her daughter to know about her?
How much she loved and adored her.
You have a necklace that she shared with you.
Her daughter had made me this necklace that says family.
Which was sort of the focus of Christine's life.
Her daughter was her absolute world. Her daughter's the reason that she lived every day. She loved her so much.
And that's our program for tonight. Thank you for watching. I'm David Muir.
And I'm Deborah Roberts. From all of us here at 2020 and ABC News, good night.
Funkos Brasília, saca, 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 Funkos Brasília, 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 Brasília, Zilha, pão Brasília, Zilha, 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 pão Brasília, Vamos Brasília, Vamos Brasília, Zilha, Zilha, vamos Brasília, vamos Brasília. Beijo de peixe, beijo. Bistrungue lá fora.
His mother got to the scene and she was told that her son had been killed. I mean, it was devastating. It looked like one of those scenes you'd see in a movie of a mother just wailing, and it was heartbreaking.
Give me my baby! Give me my baby! Give me my baby!
It was a scream of pain that was just coming from her soul, her gut. And I was like, oh my God, this is real. She hugged me, Edric. Sydney is gone. Sydney is gone. I was like, oh my, I started to cry so bad.
My son, very good son, never have a problem with nobody. You know, oh my God, it's gone.
You're watching the rawest of emotions. You're watching someone deal with a tragedy in real time. This is a very private, emotional moment, but it's being broadcast on live TV. And little did we know in that moment how much more devastating it would become.
Life has always been a challenge and obstacles of test of who I am and what I will become. My name is Brian Pata, and this is my story.
We're at the stadium right now. It's game time.
Brian Pata was larger than life.
What's up, y'all?
His aura, it just stuck out. He always gets everybody to kind of gravitate towards him.
Feel me? Check my biceps out.
We got those cameras like the year before.
Come here, dog. Say what's up to the camera, dog.
As soon as he got it, you know, everybody was walking around with him. Everybody always taking videos.
It's a true encapsulation of who this person was at that age, living in Miami, being a star football player.
Take off your shirt.
Yeah, Brian, he was always filming. He had to be in front of the cameras. He had to be recording him dancing.
If you look at him, you know, it may be a little intimidating, but he was a great person. He had a great heart, great spirit.
His smile could just light up a room when he came in. He made everybody laugh.
It was just, he had a soft heart and really loved people. You could see this huge guy that looks, you know, this football player, but for me, I looked past that. I knew the soft side of him. That's the brother I remember.
Brian Pata came from a big family. He had an even larger extended family when you consider the football team, the people in his life and community who looked up to him.
My mom, she's from Haiti.
Like most parents, to be successful in this country, you know, you have the dream, the American dream, that come in and work hard.
It was quite a struggle for my mom, you know, single parent, home, you know, then try to make ends meet.
It's a total of 9 children. So there were 6 boys and 3 girls. Brian was the last of the 9.
He was never called Brian at home.
We never called him Brian. Everybody outside knew of him as Brian, but we knew him as Sydney.
Brian Pata, like a lot of people in Miami, didn't have it easy. They moved around a lot, spent a lot of time in Little Haiti and the North Miami.
Brian and his brothers, they were sports crazy. For them, it was a way to get away from some of the troubles in the neighborhoods that they lived in.
Sports was for us pretty much our only way to get to college, to afford college. That's why part of the reason why we work so hard at it.
When I first met Brian, I was just like, wow, this guy is unbelievable talent.
Brian physically was so gifted in high school. You knew this was somebody who could play at a high level in college.
Brian was heavily recruited out of high school.
But he knew he wanted to stay in this region and he wanted to stay in this area, but it ultimately came down to being close to his mom.
There was only one school for Brian, and that was the University of Miami.
He swarmed and brought down Brian Pata. He has a motor that will not stop.
Miami Hurricanes in the early 2000s, hands down, is the best team of all time.
Brian Pata was a high-performing player on a team that was highly regarded.
A lot of people think he would have had a long, substantial career in the NFL.
With Brian, his biggest hope was to make it to the NFL, be as successful as possibly can be, in order for him to take care of his family.
He was a big baby. He'll be sitting in the locker and like he'll just be laughing, like, what are you laughing at? What you laughing at? And he'll be listening to a message his mom just left for him.
And she'd be like, Brian, I dream you today. And like, it used to make me laugh too. She babied him. I mean, she loved him so much, you know what I mean? And we all did.
Brian would be on the phone with his mom. Every single day they talked, he always made sure he checked in with her.
This trajectory that Brian Pata was on was not his alone. His mother. She was on this journey with him.
What are you making?
Oh man, I'm cooking little fish potatoes.
Rice. Fish.
He was going to experience the American dream, which is to have a better life than your parents had and to share that with them. And that whole trajectory was just derailed.
Navigate police, fire with the emergency. Hello? Yeah? Hello? What happened there?
Somebody got shot. The guy's on the ground. I don't know where he's bleeding from, but he's on the ground, man.
When police arrive, they start cordoning off the area. At some point, Miami-Dade police realizes that they need an assistant state's attorney's office representative to be there. They phoned Herbert Walker, who was on call that night.
By the time I got to the scene, you could already see people beginning to gather around it.
The night of the shooting, there was just a lot of police lights, people in the area, everybody wanted to find out what happened. And everybody sort of calling each other, what's going on, what happened.
After the initial incident, I remember meeting with friends and family members just to gather information. My experience as a prosecutor, time is of the essence, and the clock is ticking.
In the hours after Brian's murder, the Miami football team didn't know if this was an attack on Brian or if this was going to be an attack on multiple players.
That summer, another teammate got shot a couple months prior to Brian Pata. Ambushed coming out of his house.
I was scared myself, and nobody knows what happened. I thought somebody was trying to kill me too.
This is Murder at the U. I'm Paula Levine.
I got started on this in the spring of 2018. We were just gathering sound. At some point, we realized we had enough sound and enough of a story to make it a true podcast.
The podcast itself didn't really come to fruition until the story seemed a little more complete.
From 30 for 30 Podcasts.
We had a killer amongst us.
Murder at the U.
The podcast is the result of 8 years of investigative reporting by ESPN.
I would say we've interviewed more than 100 people. We've gathered more than 5,000 police documents. Anything we've been able to get our hands on has helped us in our investigation to this point.
A star player on a major college football team, murdered near campus, just a few months shy of the NFL draft.
Brian Pata was an outstanding defensive lineman with UM and was being talked about as an NFL prospect until about 7:30 tonight when he was shot and killed in the parking lot of his apartment building.
Give me my baby! Give me my baby! Give me my baby!
A woman believed to be Pata's mother, wearing a UM jersey with his number on it, collapsed as she rushed to the scene. Other family and friends were overcome by the news.
In the weeks leading up to Brian Pata's death, his family had noticed some things that made them think that Brian thought something bad was going to happen to him.
I last saw Brian that Sunday on the 4th.
Yeah.
I cooked a huge meal for him. My mom and I, he came over. And he just seemed kind of just really mellow, quiet.
He just spaced out. And his head was down the whole time, kept rubbing his hair, and his hair was in front of his face, just kept rubbing his head like this.
His spirit was off. We don't know. He couldn't explain it.
And I remember him leaving, and he said, "Thank you, sis," and gave me a big hug. It seemed like he was so far away from me, but he was literally right there. And I was like, okay, I love you. I'll see you soon. And not knowing that would be my last conversation with him.
November 7th, 2006, pretty average day for Brian. He and his teammate, Eric Moncour, decide that they're going to go register for spring classes.
We went over, we registered for classes, and then we went over and got something to eat. After that, we went back to the Heck athletic facility. We had a great day of practice.
After practice, we were told by one of Brian's teammates, Chris Zellner, that he was in the locker room.
There was a call that Chris Zellner overheard where it seemed like somebody was threatening Brian.
Just happened to be just me and Brian left in the locker room, and then he received a phone call. It started off as a normal call, and then it started getting heated. Brian started to say, like, you, if you want to come see me, you know where the I'm at, you. They hung up. I looked over, I didn't want to be too nosy, and I was just like, hey man, are you good? Like, you straight? So that was the angriest I've ever seen Brian Powder, like, ever.
After practice is done, Brian gets in his car, he's heading home. He sees some of the younger teammates. He offers them a ride home and drops them off.
Brian arrives home around 6:57. He's on the phone with his brother Fednall, and he says to him, "I'm gonna let you go now, I just pulled in."
Brian pulls into the parking lot in front of his apartment complex and exits his car. Within, police estimate, probably 2 minutes of that, he gets shot in the head.
Brian's girlfriend, Jada Brody, says she heard a bang and people arguing. Jada goes outside to investigate. She sees Brian Pata laying face down on a sidewalk, feet from his car. She thinks he's joking because he's a jokester and realizes that there's a pool of blood around his head.
There's police cars, fire rescue everywhere. They basically gave me the quick overview of what had happened and told me that Mr. Pata was found face down on the sidewalk. I saw a large black male just about 20 feet from the entrance to his apartment. There appeared to be an entrance wound to the back of the head, and it was a single shot. Based upon the fact that we didn't find any shell casings, it was suspected that it would have been a smaller caliber revolver-style handgun.
It was clearly not done as a robbery. They found Brian's wallet. There were 9 $100 bills still in it, his cell phone. Like, no one had stolen anything.
To me, this might have been more in the line of a hit, a targeted assassination, if you will.
All through the night, the police canvassed the Colony apartments, knocking on every door, but they turned up no eyewitnesses. There was no security camera footage. There was no obvious trace of the killer other than the bullet that had pierced Brian's skull.
It was the worst feeling I ever had in my whole life. As an older brother, you always want to protect your younger brothers, and I felt like I wasn't there to protect them. It was awful, awful.
Who could have wanted a rising football star with a promising future dead? Detectives began asking questions that night, asking Brian's family and teammates if he had any enemies, if he'd been in any fights, if he was worried for his safety. Turns out, the answer to all of those questions was yes.
University of Miami.
This is Miami. There's a dangerous, sexy, cool reputation in this town.
Brian Potter. Get at you at the end of the game.
And if you are a college football player at the University of Miami,
It's game time. Time to get serious.
you are going to get caught up in that fast living lifestyle very quickly.
But you know this your boy, entertainer, Big Patter. You know, so I'm just showing y'all my cars and whatnot. The dome, baby.
That was Brian. Yeah, he was that flashy.
Check you out on my inside. You check me out. Ooh wee.
He was very flashy.
Back in the days, I used to do all the UM players' cars.
K. Brown. This EJ don't.
Brian came to the shop. This is what he wanted right here. This is his favorite color right here. Candy apple gold, the syrup look. He loved that.
Brian's love of cars came during a time when a lot of kids his age were doing a lot of the same thing. He had a great joy of buying old classic cars, fixing them up, and then flipping them on the internet.
Just showing y'all my work, what I could do to my cars. Flamed out good.
He enjoyed that aspect of taking something, making it beautiful, and then trying to get a buck off of it.
That was one of the things that Brian wanted to do once he got successful and got paid in the pros, is open up a car shop.
Jamming to that Rick Ross. On our way to my apartment now, US 1 going south.
In 2006, MTV Cribs was a show that was still popular.
On this episode of MTV Cribs, NFL Edition.
Welcome, MTV Cribs.
I thought, well, this would be really cool if we could start doing this with local athletes and sort of make it a local story. I was working for the Miami Herald. I was a high school / college football writer. And because of my long relationship with Brian Potter, I just felt like he was the perfect candidate. Because he was one of those top-ranked players who didn't feel like he was too big for you. He wanted to help tell his story. I attached a microphone with a tape recorder to Brian's shirt, and we recorded it.
What up, y'all? It's my crib. I'm Brian Potter, University of Miami, defensive tackle.
What's up?
If you walk in, this is it's a townhouse, 2-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom. It's a living room. You know, we got not that much stuff, but it's decent for athletes. I broke the TV. I kind of spilled juice on it. So no TV there, but a cable box. Check out the kitchen. You know, we keep it clean. You know, probably got one dish in here, one cup. Going upstairs to the room. This is my room. You know, it's all right. It's not, spectacular or nothing like that, but this is a little collage of me and my girl.
Jada Brody was, at the time of Brian's death, his girlfriend. They had been together for exactly a year. She had moved into his apartment earlier that summer.
I introduced Brian to his girlfriend, Jada. My name is Dave Howell, and I was friends and teammates with Brian Patter. We were at a on-campus party, and he ended up noticing her from like afar. And he was just like, who is that? I was like, oh, I know her. I went to high school with her. Her name is Jada. He was just like, can you hook us up? And I introduced them.
That's Jada? Yeah. Brian was not, some serial dater and all that. He was just a typical college student. And I think at that point, he just kind of settled down a little bit, wanted to, to take this relationship a little more serious with Jada.
They had their fights, they had their love. They were just a typical college couple.
The day that he was killed, the night before, they were celebrating their 1-year anniversary. So it seemed like they were, they were on cloud 9 to me.
According to what she told detectives, Jada was in the apartment cleaning out her dog's kennel. She told police that she heard an argument outside, possibly Brian's voice, and went to see what was going on. She saw Brian lying on the ground. At first, she thought he was playing a prank. Then she saw blood around his head. Jada said she ran back upstairs to call 911.
You never know who might be a possible suspect, and at that point, everybody's a suspect.
One of the things that police looked into and that we looked into as well were some conflicts that Brian apparently had with Jada's family.
The police found that in the spring of 2006, Jada told her father, Jerry, that Brian had broken up with her because he suspected her of cheating on him. Jerry told police that he then called Brian to warn him not to speak disrespectfully about his daughter. The conversation with Jerry led detectives to Jada's twin brother, Jerome. Jerome Brody had been in and out of jail for various offenses, and his father said that Jerome would have killed anyone who messed with the family.
You might have a situation where a brother, a sibling, might feel strongly enough that he might take matters into his own hands.
About a month after Brian's murder, Jada Brody's brother, Jerome Brody, ends up getting arrested in Boston, and as part of the arrest, police find some guns in a vehicle. Miami-Dade gets this information that they have those guns tested to see if they're a match to the bullet found in Brian's skull.
Miami-Dade police flew up to Boston, tried to speak with Jerome. He was unwilling to speak, but those guns that Jerome had didn't match any possibility to Brian.
We did our due diligence, and we couldn't place him in the area.
Jada's twin brother and other members of her family were deemed not to be involved.
The police started going down all of these different rabbit holes, but they actually were starting to look at someone much closer to Brian.
Hello? Whether Brian got mixed up with the wrong girl is one of the questions that certainly the investigative team looked into. Is there an ex-boyfriend that is upset that she left him? Crimes of passion cause passionate action.
Brian Pata, a defensive lineman for the Miami Hurricanes.
Brian Pata was shot and killed. Brian Pata was a great leader.
A team leader.
A selfless, fun-loving kid. Teachers loved him.
A tragedy. We miss Brian Pata.
Brian was laid to rest at the New Birth Baptist Church in Miami.
The amount of people that was coming in, I think it was like over 2,000 people.
I remember my mom passing out, crying.
Passed out completely.
Yeah, completely passed out.
A lot of our teammates was there. You know, it was a sad day, man.
It was a hard day. Seeing a lot of teammates break down and start crying. It was a really tough day for the University of Miami.
Look at this moment here.
At the first game after Brian's murder, the team kneeled for a moment of prayer and silent reflection midfield with this big banner.
Brian Pata's image, the slain Hurricane teammate, a banner that fans made, and the team gathering around it at midfield.
That was rough. We were just like numb, you know, like you didn't feel like playing no football, you know what I mean? Like the teammate just got killed.
Months before Brian was murdered, one of his friends had purchased for him a suit to wear to draft day.
Brian had picked us out to wear this draft, and they had it all out. And that's when it hit me then, just looking at that. It's supposed to be the best night of his life. And this is the worst. You got to bury him in it.
There's an alternate universe in which this tragedy doesn't occur, where Brian Pata goes on to the NFL, and he would have been a multimillionaire. It would have been another Miami Hurricanes American dream story.
Everybody wanted to find out what happened. Just a lot of questions. Who did this? Who would have wanted to kill Brian Pata?
In the hours after Brian's murder, the Miami football team decided to bring all of the players back to the athletic center, the HEC Center, to brief them all on what had happened. The one glaring thing that people noticed is that there was one player not there.
Brian had an issue with one player on the team, and that was Rashawn Jones. He didn't like him, they didn't get along. He's not a good person.
Brian Pata's name was buzzing at that time. There was a lot of talk about his future, a lot of hype about him going into the NFL draft. Rashawn Jones was more of a background player. You didn't hear his name a whole lot.
Rashawn Jones was a safety on the football team, a defensive back, really didn't play very much.
I looked at him as like a cool young guy, jokester. You could tell by the way he worked on the field. He was somebody who was passionate about the game.
He was a ladies' man. I mean, I knew every time I seen him, he was trying to, get at the girls.
In the early days of the investigation, police came across a specific beef that Brian had with Rashawn, and it was largely over Jada Brody, Brian's girlfriend.
Prior to Brian and Jada being in a relationship, it was rumored that Rashawn and Jada had some form of relationship. That is what the friction that was there between Brian and Rashawn.
According to some of Brian's teammates, there would be taunting about, she's my girl. There was definite jealousy and factors there that put those two at odds over who she liked, who she was dating, and what her history was with both guys.
He just said that the guy kept trying to fight him, and so they kept getting to these little fights.
In 2004, there was an incident between Rashawn and Brian that had happened on campus in one of their dorm rooms.
The dorm fight, me, Brian, and Eric were walking up to Eric's room, and at that time we saw Rashawn leaving out of the room. We were just kind of like confused, like, why is he in there?
I don't know, he said he was looking for DVDs. He was trying to apologize to me, but I really didn't want to hear it. I was just tired. I was ready to go to sleep because I had to be up in a few hours.
Rashawn ended up trying to, leave out of the room, and then Brian ended up punching Rashawn. And me and Eric kind of looked at each other like, did this really just escalate like that fast?
I broke it up when Rashawn was walking out. He told Brian he might as well go ahead and clip up.
They heard Rashawn say to Brian, you better clip up, meaning that he better get a gun.
I was like, y'all about to shoot each other right now? Get out of my room. You know what I mean? I'm about to go to sleep. I'll holler at you.
Rashawn Jones threatened Brian, so you never take anybody who threatened your life lightly like that.
I don't think that he looked at that as like a threat. I mean, he never really mentioned it after. You know what I mean?
Here's what we had learned about Rashawn. Rashawn had conflicts with Brian. He would have known the Hurricanes' practice schedule and what time Brian would arrive home. According to the police report, there were no eyewitnesses to the shooting. No murder weapon was ever found, and there was no record of any physical evidence linking Rashawn to the crime.
Clearly the name Rashawn Jones came up, but it was on a list of many names that we were looking at.
Initially, police looked into a broad string of incidents involving the Miami football team, but they weren't able to make any connection to Brian's shooting. As the investigation continued and police widened their search, they realized there was a long list of people who may have wanted to harm Brian.
At one point, the police had been alerted by a jailhouse snitch that his cellmate had allegedly confessed to him one night.
As part of vetting, the police had the informant take a polygraph.
No arrests as of yet as police in Miami continue their investigation. Brian Pata, senior defensive lineman for Miami, gunned down at the age of 22.
The murder of Brian Pata took on mythological proportions in this town. It was like everybody had a different theory.
We learned that Brian had a busy life. It wasn't just football and his girlfriend. He was involved in a lot of things.
The investigation at the start went in so many different directions.
There were so many different angles they were trying to go with. I felt like the police just didn't know which leads to really, truly go for.
It wasn't a limited field of suspects. You need to follow the evidence.
One of the tips that came into the Miami-Dade police was that if they wanted to find Brian Pata's killer, they needed to look for ties with the Zopound gang.
Zopound's a well-known gang in the Miami area. They were notorious for doing crimes of great violence. Zopound was featured as one of the bad guys in one of the Will Smith, Martin Lawrence Bad Boys movies.
Yo, dry off, sweetheart. That's Ice Pick. He said the Haitian Zopound's about to do a rep. Let's move.
There is no indication that Brian was a member of this gang, but there were members of the Zopound gang who told us that they were aware of Brian, that they knew him.
The homicide detectives weren't able to bring back anything that would tie a specific action of the Zopound to this incident.
There was a lot of talk about Brian getting into fights with some pretty potentially dangerous characters.
Oh, boy.
It is not uncommon at all to see bad blood lead to fists being thrown in a nightclub in Miami.
A few months before Brian is killed, Brian and some of his teammates are at a club called Club Life, and they get into an altercation with some guys there who belong to a gang.
There was definitely a physical confrontation.
Brian's throwing punches, and he's clearly involved in the fight. And as they are leaving, members of this gang are telling them, "We're going to come after you for this." And one of the teammates with Brian at the time is calling Brian and telling him that, someone's got a hit out on us.
At first, Brian was definitely worried about these guys. His girlfriend found him sleeping in the closet where he kept his shotgun. And I think that was certainly a reasonable indication of concern or fear or paranoia on Brian's part.
The Club Life investigation didn't seem to go anywhere, but then a few months later, the police got another promising lead, an alleged jailhouse confession. There was a jailhouse informant. His name was Bernard Brinson, and he claimed that he was having a conversation with another inmate by the name of Emmanuel Jones. And Emmanuel Jones would end up telling him that he got paid to do a hit, and that he believed that the person he got paid to do the hit on was Brian Pata.
They went and actually administered a lie detector test, and the jailhouse snitch passed the lie detector test.
Back in 2007, police had quickly ruled Emmanuel Jones out as a suspect.
There's evidence in the police records that that man had an alibi because he was in jail on November 7th, 2006.
But we discovered the police had the timeline of his arrest all wrong. That robbery took place in August 2006. But Jones wasn't actually arrested until December, a month after Brian's murder.
Miami police did not respond to our requests for comment.
Years later, I was able to actually track down the alleged confessor, Emmanuel Jones. And I got him on the phone, and I was trying to bring him back to that time period in 2006.
If someone were to say, hey, you confessed to this murder, do you remember where you were in November?
I was nowhere around no murder. I don't know anything about no murder.
They wrote he had an alibi. He was in jail for stealing a dirt bike in an armed robbery.
There was all this talk of jailhouse confessions and tales of professional hits. All of this just swirled because there was just this emptiness that the police couldn't fill.
You hear this person's the lead person, and next week someone else is the lead person.
When it took longer than 6 months, all of a sudden you're like, okay, what's going on?
Now a tragedy that has no closure, no conclusion, and no answers. The murder of Brian Pata.
It takes too long to know who killed him. I don't know what to say anymore. Every day I'm talking, we try to call the detective to ask them questions. They don't want to pick up the phone, we leave them message, they don't call back.
It feels like Miami-Dade needed to do something new. Their hand was almost forced into doing something creative.
As a reporter, I try to stay out of the story. But sometimes the work you do to get the story and what you uncover changes it. That's exactly what happened here.
To my knowledge, this is the first time a police entity has ever reached out to ESPN for help with a case like this.
Welcome inside Radio City Music Hall.
The 2007 NFL Draft is now open.
In April of 2007, the NFL Draft was held at Radio City Music Hall.
The Chicago Bears take Greg Olsen, tight end, Miami.
Seeing those guys that he knew and get picked, it was real sad to watch.
Introduce yourself, man.
I am Greg Olsen. How you doing, Pat?
Greg Olsen and Brian were good friends on the team. After Brian's death, Greg Olsen went on to have an incredible NFL career and a long broadcast career after.
It reminds you of what could have been for Brian, the life that he could have lived.
It isn't entirely clear to us how this case ended up becoming a cold case. There was a ton of media attention at the time, but fell off.
The family reached a point that they were very frustrated with the police efforts to finding answers.
When you look at the police file, you see very, very little new inserts from 2010 to 2016. It was almost like nothing had been done. It's March of 2017, and the family is holding a joint press conference with the Miami-Dade PD.
It's hurt. It's hurt. 10 years now. We don't hear nothing from my son.
Brian's mother turns very accusatory towards Miami-Dade police.
They don't work in the case so well. The system don't work. I have to say something. It's hurt me.
I think it was the pressure from the family that finally prompted the Miami-Dade Police Department to reach out to the media to see, okay, look, the family wants us to do something. Let's at least make the effort to put the word out there again and see if we can generate some leads.
Maybe now, 10 years later, somebody who might have information might be an adult now. Maybe they'll do the right thing and make that one phone call that we need.
So in the summer of 2017, Miami-Dade police reached out to ESPN in the hopes that we would produce a feature,
wait for this matchup tonight.
hoping that it might trigger something in somebody watching it. We discussed it internally and thought, let's see if there's something more to this story than just a college game day piece.
You know, we're ready to kind of jump in with both feet and see what we can do to move the case forward, if you will.
That sounds great to me. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
We would ask lots of questions. A lot of them they couldn't answer, but a lot of them they did. What do you know, if anything, about maybe what led up to it, or if there was an argument or anything?
We don't know if he had bad blood with anybody. As of right now, we really don't have a motive.
One of the things that really drives me in an investigation is looking at, okay, the people who were supposed to be doing a good job at this, what did they do? I wanted to dig further into this.
Once we started putting in requests for actual police evidence and police files, it quickly became a little bit adversarial.
There are a lot of questions we have about witness interviews, phone records, and any other possible leads that you guys have gone down that we would love for you to share with us.
That's stuff that is, since it's still active, we can't disclose.
They did start to provide some documents, but the problem was giant sections of them were blacked out. If we didn't get the information, we couldn't tell a complete story.
Greg Cooper and Dean Jackson are members of a cold case unit in Utah. We realized we needed some out-of-house guidance on how we had perceived Miami-Dade's police work.
They're former investigators, law enforcement, and when they looked at this, they agreed. There were some of these angles that the police hadn't ruled out.
There was some redaction to those reports, so without having that information, it created questions about the investigation and how far it went, how thorough it was.
One of the things that I just can't get over with this is that there were some just basic omissions and errors in this that you would not think that a police department of that size would be making. It's like, you know, in 2006, there weren't text messages.
Did you guys look through Brian's texts from what was available on the physical phone?
I don't believe there was text messaging back then. That was the old style flip phones, you know, push-to-talk phones were the old things that I don't believe there was texting.
By the time we went back to them a year later, we had learned a lot about Brian's life. And at that point, we were asking them questions which they didn't even have answers to.
We were told by Chris Zellner, Brian's teammate, that in the locker room after practice, the day of the shooting, Brian was engaged in a very heated phone call. Was that call investigated?
I don't remember that individual's name. I don't think I personally interviewed him. Obviously, that's somebody that I would like to speak to also.
After we all got the news that Brian passed away, I immediately told the police officers, and they just kind of like, okay, thank you, we'll take that into consideration. And that was it. No follow-up questions, no like, do you think you heard anything? Do you think you heard a name? Nothing like that. I never heard from them ever again.
The caller that Chris Zellner had overheard is a cause for concern in that it was never identified who the caller was or what the nature of the conversation was. That should have been tracked down, identified, and interviewed.
When the police department was being reticent with us about information, that really made me curious because you wanted us to do this, like you wanted this exposure. And what is it that you don't want to tell us?
It appeared as though the Miami-Dade police turned on the very people that they had recruited into this effort to help solve this cold case.
ESPN decided that the only way to try to get an unredacted copy of the files was to sue Miami-Dade police.
So we're here on the case of ESPN Inc. versus Miami-Dade County et al., case number 2020-5029-C01.
Eventually, we were ruled against, but while on the stands, we were able to get several officers of Miami-Dade to admit.
Does MDPD know who killed Brian Pata?
Yeah, we have a strong belief as to who's responsible for his death.
And that revelation confirmed what was previously released to us by accident in the heavily redacted police reports. In some of the initial batches of records that they gave us, they included dossiers on a lot of the people they looked into. The only cover page that had the word suspect on it was the cover page for Rashawn Jones.
We knew that was important. They forgot to redact it.
That was the first indication that they were not being truthful with us.
Do you have a specific suspect in mind?
No. I mean, anybody, we didn't have a specific suspect.
The police are not required to be truthful to reporters. However, in denying they ever had a main suspect, they made us even more skeptical of their information. They had considered Rashawn Jones a suspect from the beginning.
In November of 2020, our investigative team decided that it was ready to publish something with everything that we had learned.
That photo that was featured so prominently of all the players on the field kneeling by that banner of Brian's face will look very different based on the players who are pictured in it.
Place your hands behind your back for me. We can place under arrest.
My mom, she still talks to him and we help her clean the grave site. The heartbreak of not knowing. There's not a day that my mom did not wake up. She's in tears. She'll never be the same.
I remember my son every day. It's sad.
While interviewing the family, we learned that every year they held a vigil on the anniversary of Brian's murder at his gravestone.
I try to keep this case active as much as we can. 13 years later, you realize nothing's been really done.
Somebody just kill him like this, it's not right. One day, truth gonna come out.
From the outside looking in, it was the kind of case that police should have been motivated to solve quickly. But that is not what happened. Instead, weeks turned into months, which eventually turned into years, and Brian's murder remained unsolved.
In November of 2020, our investigative team decided that we'd probably taken the case as far as we could to that point. That's when the digital story came out. The family was so appreciative that Brian's name was finally being talked about again, and some pressure, it seemed, would be put back on Miami-Dade police.
You may remember this case because Pata was a star football player for the University of Miami.
It's been over a decade, and the murder of Brian Pata is still unsolved.
In one of South Florida's most infamous unsolved murders, the shooting of a University of Miami lineman, and it remains unsolved to this day.
We felt like that got the ball rolling again.
It opened it up big time.
Our story was the very first time that the public had been told that Rashawn Jones, a former teammate of Brian Pata's, was the person that police were considering most likely to have killed him.
One of the theories of Brian's murder definitely revolved around his teammate, Rashawn Jones. There was pretty open conflict between the two of them.
After reading the ESPN article and then just kind of putting this piece and this piece together to kind of make it make sense, I started to believe that there was definitely a capability of this being Rashawn.
I received a voicemail from Edric, Brian's older brother.
Hey Dan, good morning. It's heating up really good. I think they're about to make an arrest soon.
9 months after our story comes out, we get word that the Miami-Dade Police Department is moving to arrest Rashawn Jones.
I believe one of the catalysts was the ESPN article that came out. I think also the state prosecutor also getting a little more aggressive in his approach towards arresting someone.
They show up at a Dollar Tree warehouse in Ocala, Florida, where he's working, and they're waiting for him when he leaves work. And he's arrested.
Being placed under arrest.
Another exclusive tonight, the wife of a former UM football player coming to his defense after he was arrested for murder.
I heard them say, Rashawn Jones, put your phone down, you're under arrest.
Rashawn Jones' wife says he knows nothing about that night and doesn't know who killed Brian Pata.
He's not this person that they're trying to portray.
She says even though Jones and Pata had a history, it was resolved before his death.
He said it wasn't even at odds when Brian got killed. He's not a murderer. He's not.
An arrest in the 15-year-old cold case, the murder of a University of Miami football player. Brian Pata was fatally shot outside his apartment back in November of 2006, and now police have arrested his former teammate, 35-year-old Rashawn Jones, and charged him with Pata's death.
I said to myself, it's about time. It's about time. My mom she got up and she started to dance and she started to praise God and say thank you.
I kept trying to say it can't be true, wait till it's all proven, but like at that moment, I'm not gonna lie, I was really upset.
Look at this moment here, Brian Pata's image, the slain Hurricane teammate, a banner that fans made, and the team gathering around it at midfield.
Initially, the photo of this moment looked to us like a team united, grieving one of their own. But now, one player sticks out, Rashawn Jones. Somehow, he's made it to the front row. He's on one knee, looking down at Brian's face on the banner. Knowing the rumors that were swirling around the team at that time, that photo started to look very different to us.
When I see that photo, I just be like, wow, you know what I'm saying? It just give you chills, man. You know what I mean? It's a little scary.
So the question now is, looking at that image, are we seeing a man who is praying for his teammate or who is praying for forgiveness? After Rashawn Jones was arrested, we were really waiting around to see what was the tipping point. What was that missing piece of the puzzle that you said you needed to make an arrest?
Were you anywhere near the scene where Brian was killed that night?
I wasn't in the area.
What if I told you there was an eyewitness that saw you leaving the scene right after?
"35-year-old Rashawn Jones, a former defensive back for the Canes, was arrested in Lake City in Marion County earlier today with the help of U.S. Marshals.
After Brian is killed, Rashawn had gone on to marry his high school sweetheart, Ashenda. He has 5 children, and he's doing some coaching stuff. He's somewhat still involved in football, but seems to be living a pretty average life.
In August of 2021, Rashawn Jones was arrested and was subsequently interviewed and interrogated for this crime.
Have you already patted him down?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've gone through everything, pockets and stuff.
And in walks Miami-Dade Police Detective Juan Segovia, who took over this investigation from Miguel Dominguez, who retired right after our lawsuit.
How many hours did you sleep last night?
The approach that the detective is using at this point is non-accusatory. It's just an interview approach to begin with.
What can you tell me about your relationship with Brian?
I mean, we had an up and down relationship.
Okay. What happened? What does that mean, up and down?
We was teammates. I guess females got involved. So it was, I don't know, I guess jealousy over females.
I think Rashawn wants to find out how much information, what the detail is, what it is eventually that the detective has to share with him.
He doesn't seem to be concerned about admitting that, they've had some ups and downs.
Not yet. Yeah.
Not yet, because they haven't put it into a context for him to have concerns about that.
Rashawn had somewhat of a history of getting into altercations, and there was another player that would tell police that Rashawn actually pulled a gun on him.
Did you own a firearm back when you were at University of Miami?
No.
You never had carried? Never. No. Did you ever make it sound like you carried a firearm?
I don't know. That was a lot going on back then. I don't remember if I said no. I didn't ever say I carried a firearm.
Most likely the realization is they're trying to connect me to a weapon that's connected to the homicide.
And all of a sudden, he starts stammering.
And you can see that he's thinking about that. He's trying to go back through the files in his memory.
On the morning of Brian's murder, Rashawn is called into the coach's office, and he's told that he's failed his drug tests, which is going to lead to a suspension.
It was for marijuana?
It was for marijuana, so I don't go to practice that day.
Okay.
When I leave out of his office, I go home.
Miami-Dade pulled phone records for Rashawn Jones, which show that at 3 p.m. on the day of the murder, Rashawn activated a new phone number.
What was the reason for changing your number? Explain to me.
I don't know. At the time, I felt like I was going to get a lot of backlash for my second marijuana, for my drug test.
From who?
From friends, family. I know I let my family down, mother them, grandmother them.
One thing that stood out when we finally got to look at his phone records was that there were 56 calls, but there was a gap between about 6:40 and 7:40. And police believe Brian was shot around 7 o'clock.
So when you got home, you turned off your phone?
Yeah.
What'd you do that?
I just didn't want to be from the outside world.
Okay.
I was frustrated with myself.
At the time of the shooting, police are contacted by someone who lives at the Colony apartment complex by the name of Paul Connor.
Paul Connor was a writing instructor at the University of Miami. On the night of the murder, Paul Connor was about to make a turn into the parking lot. He hears a pop, and seconds later, he walks by a young African-American male going in the opposite direction.
Police later showed Connor a photo lineup, and Connor identified Rashawn Jones as the man he saw that night.
What if I told you there was an eyewitness that saw you leaving the scene right after? You remember that old man that you crossed with in the sidewalk there?
I wasn't there. He can't eyewitness me.
You were identified as leaving the scene.
How? And I wasn't there.
He was shown 6 photographs He was shown 6 photographs, and you were one of them, and he immediately identified you.
I can't explain it to you. I don't know.
Just really bad luck?
Really bad luck. I'm telling you, I have nothing to do with this guy murder. Nothing. Ain't no 15 years of telling myself I didn't do it, or ain't no trying to convince myself I didn't. Nothing.
His concurrence that, yeah, it's just bad luck. This is just bad luck, really bad luck for me. Now, it's a lot more than bad luck. It's either fact or it's being trumped up against him.
Why would all these people lie about your
I just said I used to live, I used to be young and wild. So I guess that's just the perspective they got on me of how I was. But that ain't got nothing to do with picking up no gun, trying to kill nobody, harm nobody with. That's not in me.
Ashenda is brought into the interrogation area as well, and she comes to talk to Rashawn after they've interviewed him.
They said they got the eyewitness and people saying that they seen me with a gun when I was in Miami. Oh, I threatened Brian when I was in Miami. People heard me threaten him.
That's all they got?
People heard me.
They ain't got no DNA. You can't maybe think my husband is a killer. I said, listen, you have to literally show me him standing over the body for me to believe that he killed this man. I love you.
You've got a star witness involved here, identifying Rashawn as the individual responsible, and it behooves the prosecution to ensure that that individual is safe and willing to participate and capable of it.
In the lead up to the trial, the prosecution had been telling the court that there had been issues with tracking down Mr. Connor. They tried his phone number, they tried his address. He was nowhere to be found. They just presumed that he was dead.
But something here just didn't seem right. I find people for a living. I just didn't believe he was dead.
Mr. Connor?
Mommy kept all of these. Mommy was so happy when she got this jersey.
Yeah. My son.
She said, my son. That's him holding it. That was the first jersey. This just tells you right here how much of a jokester he was. You see?
Oh my God. I missed his boy.
Yeah. You hear stories or you watch a documentary, you see something like this, to think that one day that you'll be that same family wanting justice, wanting closure, and you're sitting there just waiting. This is him as a baby.
It's been a roller coaster ride for all of us. We prepare and we talk about it, and all of a sudden it gets pushed, then it gets pushed and it's pushed. It's been a roller coaster ride.
If the family hadn't pushed, if there was no 2017 press conference with Jeanette Pata, if there was no involvement of ESPN, would we even be at this point?
The former UM football player accused of killing a teammate, charged with second-degree murder at his arraignment today. Jones has pleaded not guilty.
The first substantive thing that happens in his case is a bond hearing, which is in 2022.
Please come forward to the witness stand right up here.
One of the most interesting things about the bond hearing was that we finally got to see, for the first time, Paul Connor, the writing instructor from Miami who claimed that he saw someone matching the description of Rashawn Jones leaving the apartment complex after the shooting.
How would you describe the person that you saw, Mr. Connor?
A young African-American, 6 feet to 6'1", tall, approaching the gate.
What did you notice about the man and his facial features?
Well, he smiled at me. He had a clean set of white teeth, no gold teeth.
The bond hearing lasted a few days, and at the end of it, the judge set Rashawn's bail at $850,000. But his family couldn't come up with the portion needed for bail, so he remained in the Metro West Detention Center in Miami. Time passed,
And 4 years after his arrest, Rashawn was still in jail, waiting for a trial.
I got contacted by Rashawn because another client referred him. I went to see him at the jail, and he told me a little bit about his case, about the fact that it had taken 15 years. The case did not sit right with me, and I decided that I was going to represent him.
Rashawn Jones has a fiercely passionate and dedicated defense team in his corner. Sarah Alvarez is 30 years old. This is her first murder case ever.
So when I came onto the case, the witness list that the state had filed was very incomplete. I realized that there was a lot left to do in terms of deposing these witnesses and also tracking down other witnesses who the state was saying they had never had contact with.
As it turned out, one witness was extremely difficult to track down.
In the summer of 2025, the state attorney's office comes to a hearing and says something that is pretty shocking, which is they can't locate their main eyewitness, which is Paul Connor.
They couldn't find him. They said they had run him in all the records databases, and we kept pushing and asking for evidence of this.
The prosecution had been telling the court that there had been issues with tracking down Mr. Connor. They tried his phone number, they tried his address. He was nowhere to be found. They just presumed that he was dead.
As someone who does this for a living and tracks people down, I did not believe that Paul Connor was dead, because when you die, you create a paper trail.
Paula Levine phoned one of Mr. Connor's previous co-workers. She was so concerned that she called a welfare check to be done on him.
Remember, this is a private individual just calling up the Louisville Police Department to do this.
Hey, are you Paul?
Yeah.
Paul, how are you?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Perfect.
All right, thank you.
Have a good one.
A few weeks later, producer Dan Aruda and I made a trip to Louisville to see for ourselves. We arrived at the address that both we and Miami-Dade had for Connor.
Hi, are you Paul Connor?
Yeah.
Have you been contacted by anyone recently from Miami State Attorney's Office at all?
No.
Just before the murder trial for Brian Pata is about to start, a key witness is found who police thought was dead.
It wasn't the police that discovered this key witness wasn't dead. It was ESPN. I mean, that's just wild.
2020 reached out to the Miami police with specific questions about their investigation. They did not respond to our requests for comment.
All right.
So as the case finally heads to trial after all these years, all eyes are on that courtroom in Miami.
Nearly 20 years after the deadly shooting of a football player, it's time for trial for a teammate accused of the crime.
This case got really personal for all of us. We were ready to take the gloves off and throw down.
Everyone out. Everyone out. Yes, everyone out, including me. Out. Out. Unbelievable.
So this is courtroom 4-1. It's really only used for the big trials. It's the same courtroom where Ted Bundy was tried. And they knew that the media would be interested in this case.
The first day where testimony is scheduled to begin, here comes the Pata family in force into the courtroom. His brothers and sisters and his mom, Jeanette, who is in a wheelchair.
We've been preparing for the unknown because this is the hardest thing. We've never gone through this before.
And to see them all come in and fill up, 2 full rows in the gallery, it was powerful. They sat down and I think they bore witness. I mean, that's the best way to put this, to what they hope is justice.
The inescapable feeling here is justice delayed is justice denied.
State of Florida versus Rashawn Jones.
State prosecutors say over the 15 or so years of this case, all evidence really pointed to the defendant.
We are asking that you just pay close attention
to each and every witness who testifies. Because each person will provide a piece of evidence that in the end points only to one person. The man sitting at that table over there, Rashawn Jones.
So for the prosecution, this case basically comes down to the relationship between Brian, Jada, and Rashawn.
All roads did not lead to Rashawn Jones. Just because the government tells you that something is true does not make it so.
Rashawn looked, as he's sitting at the table, very professional. He didn't really glance over at the family. He really kept his focus on his counsel.
For 15 years, the police interview Rashawn along with other teammates and other students, but they never really treat him like a suspect. They don't bring him in for a sworn statement for 15 years after he's already been arrested for this horrible crime.
Would you like to call your first witness?
In an extremely emotional moment in the courtroom, you have Dwayne Hendricks, Brian's teammate, former roommate, testifying about the moment when he saw his friend lying motionless in front of their apartment.
I noticed Brian on the ground, so I hopped out of the car and I was like, yo, stop playing. He had a puddle of blood behind his head. That's when it hit me. He wasn't playing and it wasn't a game anymore.
Did you call anyone from his family?
I tell people to this day, that was the hardest thing I ever had to do in my life. It was to call that. To call his mom and say that her youngest is dead.
When the prosecutor first started showing some of the photos from the crime scene and some of the photos of Brian's body, it was a really emotional moment for the family. I mean, they were leaning forward, they were grabbing tissues, some of them turned their heads away. It clearly had an effect on them.
Good afternoon, Mr. Howell.
Dave Howell, Brian's teammate, testified about the hostility that he saw between Brian and Rashawn over Jada.
Did Brian and Rashawn get in any other disputes?
Yes.
Were they over Jada?
Yes.
Did you see any of those disputes?
Yes, I did.
Can you tell us what you saw?
It was in front of the cafeteria. It was just words between the two of them and they moved on. It was nothing physical.
And former teammate Eric Moncour testified about the day that they came up to his dorm room.
Brian ended up pushing him, and he pushed him, and I think he punched him, and then he got on top of him and started headbutting him. And then I ended up grabbing Brian, pulling him off, and Rashawn got up and he walked out the room. He was like, boy, you might as well go ahead and clip up.
During cross-examination, the defense attempted to downplay the statement, clip up.
You didn't actually believe that Mr. Jones was going to shoot anybody, correct?
No.
You didn't take this as a serious threat?
No.
After this fight that happened in your dorm room in the summer of 2004, you thought that it was over at that point, correct? There was no further beef?
Yes.
And you never heard anybody bring this fight up again, right?
Not to my knowledge.
But the key testimony came from that alleged eyewitness, Paul Connor.
I'll keep this very brief. I really just have one question for you. What did Rashawn's teeth look like in November of 2006?
So if you think about it, this entire case could possibly come down to the description of someone's smile.
Witness taking the stand today in the murder trial of Rashawn Jones, a former UM professor, detailing what he heard and saw the night Brian Patta was shot and killed.
The state plays for the jury a recorded testimony of Paul Connor from a hearing in 2022.
Do you swear more from that testimony?
It was treated as regular testimony.
He smiled at me, He had a clean set of white teeth, no gold teeth. And that's about it. I described him to the forensic artist.
And is this a fair and accurate representation of the sketch that was created based upon your representation?
Yes.
The million-dollar question in this is, did the jury believe Paul Connor?
But another witness, Bruce Johnson, who was a teammate of both Rashawn and Brian, is called to testify. The defense takes this as an opportunity to question him about Rashawn's teeth.
I really just have one question for you. What did Rashawn's teeth look like in November of 2006?
They just wasn't, everything wasn't straight. It was jagged, kind of messed up.
Would you describe them as a clean set of white teeth?
No.
Now, these two statements are completely at odds with each other.
Can you please introduce yourself to the jury and tell them where you're employed?
Yes, my name is Juan Segovia. I'm a homicide investigator with the Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office.
One of the final witnesses that the state called was Detective Juan Segovia, and he had been assigned in 2020 to take over the case, and his testimony was incredibly useful for the prosecution because it took all these little pieces of testimony from all these other people and essentially tied it together in a very effective narrative as to the motive, the means, the opportunity for Rashawn Jones to kill Brian Patta.
What information did you gather that led to you getting an arrest warrant?
It was the threats accompanied with the display or talk of the same type of firearm that killed the victim. It was the phone records. It was the identification of Mr. Connor and all the circumstantial stuff that happened the night of.
The jury also got to hear the post-arrest interrogation interview of Rashawn Jones.
Let's talk about Jada a little bit, because Jada's name comes up a lot during the investigation. Is that the first time that you have any beef with Brian whatsoever?
Yeah.
That you remember, that was over Jada?
Yeah.
Okay. You dated Jada?
Never dated Jada.
Did you guys have any relations?
I had a relation once.
On cross-examination, the defense pressed Segovia on whether or not Rashawn ever owned a gun.
You have no personal knowledge whatsoever that Mr. Jones actually owned a firearm at any point, do you?
Not legally.
Not legally?
Right.
You have never seen Mr. Jones with a firearm?
I've never seen him.
The prosecution ends its case on the very graphic testimony of the medical examiner.
I do.
Who uses a model to describe the fatal injury that takes Brian's life.
The pathway of the bullet through Mr. Patta's body was from his left side, several inches above his left ear.
That was hard for the family. It was an incredibly emotional way to end those 5 days of testimony.
At this time, the state rests.
We had so many other leads, all of which were more viable than Rashawn. Ultimately, the court ruled that these different viable theories be excluded.
At this time, the defense rests.
Even without that, we felt so good about the case because they still didn't have anything, and we trusted that a jury would feel similarly.
I had to ask somebody next to me, did I hear what I thought I heard?
Mr. Jones, your attorneys have indicated after speaking to you that you do not wish to testify. They're not going to call any witnesses on your behalf. Have you had an opportunity to discuss that with them?
Yes.
Are you deciding not to testify in this case?
Yes, ma'am.
We were stunned. I think anybody there who was witnessing this was wondering what had happened.
Both the state and the defendant have now rested their case. The attorneys will now present their final arguments.
You'd remember one of the worst days of your life. You test positive, your future's unsure, you don't have the girl, you're gonna get kicked off the team. Things are not going your way. And then it all just boils over.
Does this look anything like Rashawn Jones? Does this look anything like Rashawn Jones? Nothing. Paul Connor's selection is not reliable. It is not credible. Rashawn Jones was not at the Colony Apartments. Rashawn Jones did not shoot him. Rashawn Jones had nothing to do with his death. Rashawn Jones failed a drug test. He was at home at the time that Brian Patta was killed.
All rise for the jury.
This family has been put through so much for so long, and they get so close to what they believe is finally going to be justice for them. I can't even imagine what they're going through.
We are now on verdict watch as the jury evaluates the evidence in the murder of his teammate Brian Paddock.
The only thing that is not a foregone conclusion here is what that jury is going to decide.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've received your note. I've received your note indicating that you continue to be deadlocked, and so at this time I will declare a mistrial and a hung jury. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to thank you for your time and consideration of this case.
The breakdown was 5 for not guilty and 1 for guilty, and the person who was leaning to guilty was just unmoved.
This has to be extremely difficult for the family, and in particular, Jeanette, Brian's mother. She has called for justice for her son, her youngest child.
Anybody who's seen the video of Jeanette running down the street, wearing Brian's jersey, yelling,
"Give me my baby! Give me my baby! Give me my baby!"
and then to juxtapose that with her being wheeled into an elevator because she's so frail that she can't walk on her own, kept saying 20 years, 20 years.
We come here! We come here!
And she still has that same desperate plea in her voice.
We're frustrated, but we're also resilient. We're going to remain steadfast and confident that we're going to get the answers that we need.
What do you think you would do differently? That's a hard question to answer. I'll leave that for the next one.
There are no winners here. At the end of the day, we're still at the same place. We don't know who killed Brian. We don't know the truth, and I don't think we'll ever know the truth.
The damage is done. The lives of multiple individuals have been completely ruined.
His fate was really demoralizing and discouraging, not just for the Miami Hurricanes football program that fell into a precipitous decline after that. It was devastating for this city, and particularly for the community that Brian came from, which is always looking towards our athletes as role models, as symbols of hope and opportunity.
He did have such a love for the community that he was raised in, and he understood the importance of him making it.
And when you have a young person who's from this area and is able to advance not only the identity of Little Haiti, but become somewhat of an ambassador of the culture, and his life is taken way before its time, it's heartbreaking. Brian's part of his life and the tragedy of his experience is like a candle from the dark. And when that light is lost, it hurts us all.
What's going on? Hello?
You know, I'll look at a picture or something, I get emotional, but then I'll think back how we used to spend our times together, and you know, the jokes he would crack, and you know, the times we would spend, and just those memories, the positive, you know, all the good stuff, you know, that, but you think of, oh man, he's not here anymore, you know, that's when the tears flow. A gentle giant.
Loving individual.
Full of life, full of energy, positive energy. Someone who's truly missed. It's still hard for us today.
A little bit after his death, I mean, I dreamt about Brian. He was talking to people. He was saying he's okay. I'm okay. I wasn't supposed to die, but I gotta go over on the other side. You guys won't see me anymore. God is letting me in the door now. That was his words. Then a big purple door opened, and it's bright light, and he walks in between. He looks, and he waves. So I love everybody. I love everybody. Then he hugs me. It felt so real. And the door shuts behind him. And then that was it.
You know, it's a dream that keeps Brian connected to his loved ones. His family's journey for justice will continue as the state is expected to retry Rashawn Jones.
So more to come, David. For additional information on this story, you can listen to the 30 for 30 podcast, Murder at the U, which chronicles ESPN's 8-year investigation into the case. That's our program for tonight. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Deborah Roberts.
And I'm David Muir from all of us here at 2020 and ABC News. Good night.